City Hall. It is 4 o'clock on New Year's Eve for the specially called meeting of the Tallahassee City Commission. First of all, thanks for coming out. We've got a packed chamber. Really do appreciate you taking an interest in your city government. This is probably one of the most important meetings that we will have with one of the most important decisions that we will make in the next 2 years. I'd like to ask the city manager to please provide the invocation for us to start this meeting. Will you please rise and join me if you care.
Dear God, as we come together on this special and final meeting of 2018, we thank you and praise you for the blessings, strength, and love you have bestowed upon us. During this time of year, please help us be a blessing to others and meet the needs of those in our community. As we look forward to a bright and productive 2019, we thank you for this season of togetherness and with family and friends. And today we ask that you grant our leaders wisdom and direction as they complete their duties they have been elected to fulfill. We also ask that you give strength and love to each of the candidates that have offered their service to our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Treasurer Clerk will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a busy past 19 days. Per the charter and city policy, we have a procedure in place to fill the vacancy on seat 1 of the Tallahassee City Commission. We have been very busy, and I want to thank my colleagues for their hard work and dedication. I know that y'all have been putting in a lot of the time, reviewing, interviewing, talking, and I appreciate it, especially over the holidays. It's been very busy. Nonetheless, we started off with the first 10 days of this process receiving applications for those that are interested in serving the rest of the remaining part of the seat 1 vacancy, and we received 93 applications. First, let me say how exciting it was to receive so many applications from dedicated members of this community that truly love this community and were willing to step up to the plate and serve this community. And on behalf of the commission, I think I can speak for everyone. Thank you very much. One of the toughest decisions that we had to make was to take 93 applications and create a short list, which is presented here tonight. That was a difficult decision. The people that were on the application list are friends. They are neighbors. They are associates. And it is tough making these type of decisions, but we have been challenged to find the right person to fill this commission seat, be able to work with this commission, and be able to move us forward. So we have 9 candidates that will be presented tonight. Let me walk you through how this meeting is going to take place. In just a second, I'm going to, after I introduce the candidates, the 9 candidates, I am going to open it up for public comment. If you are interested in speaking, we are interested in hearing from you. We have 13 speaker cards right now. We will be entertaining public comment from the podium. Let me be the first to encourage civil discourse, and let me be the first to encourage you to think about speaking in a positive manner on those individuals who you support. I think it's very important tonight in particular that we set the tone going into 2019, and that it is a tone of civility, it's a tone of professionalism, so we get off on the right start. At the end of public comment, then we will hear from each of the 9 candidates that are seeking to fill this seat. Each candidate in alphabetical order will be given between 3 and 5 minutes, and I met with each one of them today, and I'm going to remind you, I'm going to hold you to 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to present why you should be the next city commissioner to fill the vacancy on seat 1. At the end of each presentation, I will obviously allow my colleagues to ask any and all questions of the candidates as they present. At the end of the presentations, we will go into commission discussion in the formal nomination period to fill the vacancy in seat 1. Our policy in the city is very straightforward on how this will take place. The first nomination that will be made by Commissioner Curtis Richardson, senior member of this commission, and for his nomination to officially be placed under consideration, it will need to receive a second. The next nomination that will be made by Commissioner Jeremy Matlow, who beat out Commissioner Diane Williams-Cox by, I believe, 3 minutes in the seniority. But nonetheless, this is how the policy states. And, of course, Commissioner Matlow will make a nomination, and it will need to receive an official second as well. From there, Commissioner Williams-Cox will make a nomination, which will need to receive a second. And as mayor, I will have the final opportunity to make a nomination, and it will need to receive a second. Once the 4 nominations and seconds have been made, we will enter into a discussion, okay? And we will just open it up, and I'm looking forward to hearing the comments that are being made by my colleagues. When it comes time to vote, every official nominee will have the opportunity to be voted on unless we make a decision first and foremost. For instance, we will start again in the order with Commissioner Richardson's nominee. If this commission decides that that is the individual to serve and they receive 3 affirmative votes or a majority of affirmative votes, folks, we are done. That is how the process works. If Commissioner Richardson's nominee does not receive a majority of affirmative vote, then we will entertain Commissioner Matlow's nomination, and then Commissioner Williams-Cox's nomination, and then my nomination until this commission can come to a majority agreement on who the next commissioner for seat 1 will be. If we get through an entire round and have not made a decision, we will begin a second round. And again, Commissioner Richardson, then Commissioner Matlow, and Commissioner Williams-Cox and myself will make nominations. I tell you this because I want this process tonight to be transparent. I want us all to be on the same page from the very beginning and make sure that we all completely understand how this meeting will be conducted, because this is very important. Any questions from my colleagues? I've had the opportunity to meet with each one of the candidates today, and I think that we don't have any questions as well. So before we open it up public comment, let me introduce our 9 candidates that we will be hearing from today. In alphabetical order, will you please stand? Dr. Elaine Bryant, Dr. Gallup Franklin II.
We're not going to clap for everybody?
We can clap now. We're at the very end.
Give us instructions.
Why don't we wait till the very end and we'll clap for everybody.
Okay.
Ms. Tabitha Frazier, Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass, Mr. Byron Green, Ms. Lila Jaber, Dr. Howard Kessler, Mr. Will Messer, and Dr. Bruce Struble. Now, will you please join me in thanking them? Dr. Gallup Franklin II was the second person that I recognized. Yes,
okay.
Sorry that's all right.
Okay.
I missed that.
So, Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody, now that we're entering into public comment, do we have anybody that would like to speak?
Yes, we do, and your number has grown from the 13 to about 17 or 18.
Okay.
Anyone who does wish to speak and has not given me a speaker form, those forms are in the table just outside, and you have time to fill out a form with this number of citizens wishing to speak. Erwin Jackson will be the first to speak. I'll ask each who gets called on to begin your remarks with your name and address. For the record, there is a light that will be right in front of you on the podium. It will begin green, and after 2.5 minutes, it will turn yellow, at which point I will let you know you're at 2.5 minutes, and then it will turn red at 3 minutes. And I believe, Mayor, you indicated, just as with our finalist candidates, you're going to hold them strictly to their 5. We want to hold these folks to their 3. That way we can hear from everybody in the public that does want to
I would like for everybody to work with me as much as possible so that we can hear from everyone. Dr. Jackson, Happy New Year. It's good to hear from you.
Thank you, sir.
Your name and address for the record.
Dr. Erwin Jackson, 1341 Jackson Bluff, the Tallahassee Truth Teller. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate each of our new city commissioners and mayor. I have no reason to believe that you are not honest, hardworking, and will work for the benefit of all Tallahassee residents. For this reason, I'm very thankful. Harry Truman, a Midwestern boy like myself, said, "You can't get rich in politics unless you're a crook." John Marks, Scott Maddox, and Andrew Gillum have each become very wealthy from the political process. We are here today to talk about replacing Scott Maddox after he was recently indicted on 44 federal charges, including racketeering, bribery, fraud, and income tax evasion. The FBI has stated privately that Tallahassee has had a corrupt city mayor's office for the past 20 years. The FBI has also stated that Tallahassee is the first city in the nation where 3 city mayors are under criminal investigation at the same time. Comments on the 9 finalists. I only have comments on 2. First, I strongly ask the City Commission not appoint Leila Jaber or Tabitha Frazier. Ms. Jaber has been found to not fully understand the importance of full disclosure when she was appointed to serve on the Ethics Board. She knew of several conflicts but did not disclose them and was later forced to resign. As chairman of the Ethics Board, it was her responsibility, and she's responsible for exempting city commissioners from the ethics ordinance. Ms. Frazier is the past leader of the Democratic Party. She has publicly stated, I don't have a quote-unquote, I don't have an ounce of respect for anyone who supports the Republican agenda or this president, end quote. She has disenfranchised over 1/3 of the voters in this community. As an owner of a nonprofit business, she has refused to answer questions about its funding sources and possible link to Soil Water District Conservation District or the National Association of these districts. Finally, I want to say that I had hoped to have an opportunity to come here and speak on other candidates that I favored more than some here tonight. Unfortunately, I was not given an opportunity but followed the process here, which limited my comments to only the 9 that's here. I think that is a flawed process, and it shouldn't have been worked out that way. I strongly request that this selection process be canceled and the public be given an opportunity to vote for our next city commissioner.
You're at 2.5.
This is not a beauty contest. The other thing I want to point out in my last 20 seconds is that several years ago, Alan Katz left the city commission and orchestrated passing of an ordinance allowing the commission to appoint his friend Gil Ziffer. This was wrong then, and it's wrong now. We need to start with a charter change and appoint who you want, but only serve until we have a charter change that allows us to vote for the next city commissioner. 7 seconds to go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
And we don't have any video or what am I trying to think of? I've got papers I'd like to show to the public. But because we don't have a video up here, it's impossible to do that. The public is missing out on some good information. So if someone could look into that, I think that'd be very important. And the other thing, I have documents.
Dr. Jackson?
Okay, Dr. Jackson.
And who do I give these to?
Just give it to the clerk.
Mr. Lutz in the back will take those from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next speaker is Ted Thomas. He'll be followed by Joy Hill.
Mr. Thomas, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the history lesson. My name is Ted Thomas. I live at 1469 Bucare, Tallahassee, Florida, 32308. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. It is my honor and privilege this afternoon to come before you in support of Will Messer for the vacant City Commission seat. With all due respect to the other 8 candidates, I speak on Will's behalf because we need a voice from the business sector. Not the large business sector, but those of us who have been part of NEBA for the past 20-plus years. Will Messer has been one of those individuals, as past president and as a longtime member of the executive committee. He knows what it takes to build a business and make it a success. He will bring these skills and dedication to the City Commission and to our community. And he will be remembering the commitment to the South Side, to community schools, and the mayor's initiative to bring the city, the county, and the school board together to solve the problems of today and to look for the future of our people in Tallahassee. I especially use the word people because Will Messer relates to people and their needs. Will and the Messer family have been in this community for over 100 years. His love and pride of Tallahassee is unwavering. He will be a strong voice on this commission to get things done, and if he wavers in his commitment, I will be looking over his shoulder tweak his ear and tell him he needs to get back on track. I appreciate the opportunity, and I thank you and encourage you to support Will Messer for the vacant city seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Jay Hill, and then Heather Cox Rosenberg.
Jay Hill, 1445 Silver Pine Lane. I'm the truth checker. I'm here to support Tabitha Frazier, and I might be an unlikely supporter of her. I'm a developer, so trees aren't always my best friend. I've known Tabitha for years. I've known her family for years. I know her to be a good, ethical mother and wife. I got my 2 kids here sitting in the audience, and I can't hold my kids accountable for standing up to bullies unless I'm willing to go stand up to bullies for friends of mine. There's a hierarchy I live by. It's family, friends, and political affiliation is way down the list. And although we might not be politically aligned on every issue, I know one thing we're aligned on is she is a good, ethical person. And I'm here to support her and show that there's people out there that may not agree with everything politically, but they agree with one thing, and that's to do the right thing. That's it.
Mr. Hill, thank you, and welcome to your family that's here as well.
Next is Heather Cox Rosenberg, and then Jim Messer.
Hi, good
Hi.
evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm sorry my children stole your chair earlier.
No problem. Not at all. Your
My
name
name-
and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Heather Cox Rosenberg. My address is 3385 Barrow Hill Trail, Tallahassee, Florida, 32312. I wanted to come here tonight in support of this process, period. You guys have done an excellent job of selecting 9 candidates who are representative of our city and who all have hearts for service. And I appreciate the work that you guys did putting into that to select these 9 candidates. I'm here particularly to support one, Sarah Lynn Grass. The reason I'm supporting Sarah Lynn is because Sarah Lynn and I have done a lot of work in our community and around the state around children's issues. And our community has some challenges when it comes to services for children and for the families who care for them. And if we want to grow our community into a thriving metropolis with a strong business community, with a strong economy, the way that we're going to do that is to address those things that make families unable to participate in the business opportunities that are out there. I think Sarah Lynn and I have both worked on issues that will help advance that will make our community stronger, that will make people able to participate in economic activities and business activities. And I think it will make our community as a whole stronger to have somebody like Sarah Lynn on the commission. So thank you for allowing us the time to talk, and I don't envy you the choice you have to make. Thank you.
Mr. Rosenberg, thank you very much for coming.
Next is Jim Messer, and then Amy Datz.
Mr. Messer?
Mr. Mayor, good afternoon. Jim Messer, 3375 Capitol Circle Northeast 32308. Mr. Mayors and Commissioner, I am Jim Messer. I am Will Messer's brother, and I rise to support him as the next city commissioner. I'm also a shareholder in a law firm in Tallahassee, which means that I am a member of a local business. And I congratulate the commission as it chooses a new commissioner with an eye toward the future. But I encourage you as well to remember that we are a diverse community. We are a diverse commission. We're made up of public servants. We're made up of educators. We're made up of entrepreneurs. But our diversity includes traditional businesses as well: law, banking, and insurance. A business perspective is important to Tallahassee, and Will Messer is no stranger to business. He's been a private sector businessman his entire adult life, and nearly all of it has been here in Tallahassee. He has roots here, family. This is his home. As you choose a new commissioner, look ahead. But in doing so, I ask that you remember that diversity should include the perspective of a business person. And for that reason, I urge you to choose Will Messer as your next city commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. It's good to see your family here as well.
Amy Datz, and she'll be followed by Cheryl Collier-Brown.
Ms. Datz, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, sirs and ma'am. I first became a feminist in 1968, so I've been a feminist a long time. But it would be sexist to choose your commissioner based on their sex. It should be based, and you should choose the best person for the job. Not the man or the woman, but the best person. I believe you should choose the person who has the best previous experience and proven history of competence as a commissioner, so that the person can hit the road running. I'd like to see you choose the environmentalist, the one who shows up at the legislature and speaks before the legislature on environmental issues, and has shown up at environmental meetings and speaks to the candidates on environmental issues. I'd also like you to see you pick the candidate who has devoted their life to the care and service of the public. This is the criteria I would like to see you use to pick our next commissioner. Thank you all, and Happy New Year.
Could you please provide your name and address, ma'am?
Ms. Dietz, could I get you to state your address for the record, please? Amy.
Okay, I live at 1130 Crestview Avenue.
Thank you, Amy. Happy New Year.
Cheryl Collier-Brown, and then the next speaker will be Doug Martin.
Good afternoon. Cheryl Collier-Brown, 217 West Brevard Street. I am familiar with some of the 9 finalists, not everyone. I have done my homework and read up on them, but it's still some things that I'm not aware of. Whereas my community, Frenchtown, and I know a lot of you all are aware, that's why I'm here, to speak on behalf of Frenchtown and the South Side. We have some good things going on over on the South Side, thanks to you all, the CRA meeting a couple of weeks ago. And there's some new things that's getting ready to happen in Frenchtown. So I want to make sure that whoever sits up there with you all maintain that in the back of their mind, that we need representation in the neighborhoods, not just Frenchtown, Southside, but all neighborhoods. But right now, we are in dire straits of somebody looking out for our benefit, looking around in the neighborhood. And I know some of you all are aware how strongly and how passionately I feel about my Frenchtown area. Southside area is passionate to me as well, because that's where I made my living, teaching on the South Side. So I want you all to make sure, whoever, and I want them listening over there to my left, that I will work with you, but I want you to remember, I'm going to be watching for my Frenchtown South Side communities. Thank you.
Ms. Collier-Brown, thank you for your wonderful points. Certainly do appreciate it.
Next is Doug Martin, and then Deborah Moore.
Mr. Martin, Happy New Year. Your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Doug Martin, and I reside at 1312 Nancy Drive, and just around the corner from Commissioner Williams-Cox. And
hello, neighbor.
Hello, neighbor. Glad to see you up there. This opening on the commission has been a long time coming. It's been like storm clouds on the horizon, and there are a number of us who talked about it, about what kind of commissioner would be good, because we knew that this choice ultimately would come. And one concept that immediately came up is a good citizen. And somebody's not a lobbyist, somebody's not a vendor, somebody's not privately conflicted, but somebody is a good member of the community who can hear issues and deal with them dispassionately on the merits. Another thing is someone who's been civically engaged, not somebody who's been a private citizen, but somebody who's been interested in issues of the city and the community and has some knowledge of them. And then another concept is vision, because as Ms. Brown said, there's a lot of great things happening in this city. Things have been worked on for a long, long time that are finally bearing fruit on the South Side, on other places. And so someone needs to have a vision for what this city could and should be, because great city, but we still have some really serious inequality. And thank you for Mayor Daley and others for trying to address that in a holistic way. A name that immediately came up in those discussions some months ago, Tabitha Frazier. Because, she's been out there and someone I've known for years, someone that I've known her husband even longer, but has been involved in the community in a positive way, serving on the Leon Soil and Water Conservation District, of whose operation I really don't know anything about, but I got to know her through the tree thing, and I'm very proud that I found the largest live oak in Leon County. And because of it, it's registered and possibly protected because of the work of Ms. Frazier. And then, furthermore, she has some qualities that I like, in that she's approachable. She's honest with you. I mean, she's open, and if she likes something, she will tell you. If she doesn't like something, she will also tell you that too. And so all of those are qualities that I would like to see in a commissioner. But obviously, we have a great community and many, many impressive people here. But those are some of the things that we thought about. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Well said, Mr. Martin. Thank you very much.
Next is Deborah Moore, and then she'll be followed by Mandy Bianchi.
Deborah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Deborah Moore. My address is 5494 Charles Samuel Drive. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I wanted to thank you very much for bringing Sarah Lynn Grass this far. So I am the director of the Guardian Ad Litem program. I've been with the program 20 years. I'm not here as the director. I'm here personally. I'm not particularly political, but I do know about poverty, and I do know about how much children and families suffer as a result of it. And I work very, very hard every day with some wonderful people to change that. There are a lot of children and families suffering, and I know, as I know, that Sarah Lynn Grass understands this, and she knows this. And it's at the forefront of her mind every day. A lot of people don't know how bad it is. A lot of people don't have to think about it. Sarah Lynn Grass has made it her mission to improve outcomes for children and families. She doesn't ignore it. She doesn't run away from it. She gets right into the thick of it, and that's what we need. That's what these children and families need. I'm not just here for Sarah Lynn, but I'm here for myself, my family, and particularly my grandson. Making it better for children and families is going to take someone who does know it's bad. And too many children and families are hurting today, every day. She's genuine, and she has a servant's heart. Without a doubt, she is only in this for others. She is someone who can't not do anything, who no matter how busy will make time. I appreciate your consideration to let Sarah Lynn Grass make things better for children and families.
Thank you very much.
Next, Mandy Bianchi, and then Jason Jusko.
Ms. Bianchi, good to see you.
So good to see you, Mayor Daley and Commissioners. Thank you so much for this opportunity today. My name is Mandy Stark Bianchi. I live at 3505 Kilkenny Drive West in Tallahassee. I'm the executive director of a local nonprofit that helps people who have seizures and epilepsy, and I am here to speak on behalf of and support Sarah Lynn Grass. I met Sarah Lynn about 10 years ago this year, and although she and her husband were fairly new to the city, I was astonished at how dedicated and knowledgeable they were about Tallahassee. I have watched her blossom over the years. We were both kicking off our careers, and I have always been concerned that she and her husband would be wooed away to Atlanta or South Florida, but they are here, and they're here for the long run. I have been so impressed by all the things she's accomplished, from rescuing animals to adoption. She and her husband adopted a high-risk teenager. They're not parents, but they are now. They brought her into their home and has made her life so much better. And that is such an admirable thing. I'm the mother of a 3-year-old and a 16-year-old, and they have just shown this young woman what life is all about and have given her so much love and support. And it's so wonderful to see this person become who she was meant to be. I have really just loved seeing Sarah Lynn get involved in so many things in Tallahassee, from helping to revitalize and bring interest to Gain Street, to working with the Guardian Ad Litem program, to just getting involved in so many things that our city needs. And I meant to say I'm Tallahassee proud since 1977. And it's just so nice to see someone who's not necessarily a native of our community take the community under their wing and make it a better place. So I truly want to just offer my support and just ask that you think about her as a commissioner. And I thank you all for so much that you do.
Thank you, Ms. Bianchi. And we love your Tallahassee Proud t-shirt. Thank you for wearing it this evening.
Next speaker is Jason Jusko, and then Joanna Marie Williams.
Mr. Jusko, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year. I'm Jason Jusko, 2812 Rabbit Hills Road. I've lived here for 49 years. My family and me, we've been pretty successful in business. I just want to let you know that I don't apologize for chasing profit. I'm proud to be a business person. Remember, without profit, there are no city services. Over the past few years, through social media, news outlets, the city's own PR department, the power of positive has been in full force. I was trained differently. I was trained through negative reinforcement. I've learned not to put my head in the sand. My father raised me, and I used to say, Dad, I want to be positive. I've got to be more positive. He goes, you be positive all you want, but nobody's going to be smiling when you file for bankruptcy. Let me know how all that positive, the power of positive works then. So, some of the challenges that are facing the community. We've got high crime. We've got above average living expenses if you live inside the city. We lack or have a crisis of workforce housing. We have crazy high electric costs. We have high property taxes. We have high sales taxes. We have poor or pitiful air service, which is teetering on the brink of losing all the profitable direct flights to Panama City International. We can use all the help we can get to solve our problems, which brings me to my point. Why would we put a Democrat liberal up there? Why would we appoint them? We've got a Republican president, a Republican governor, Republican U.S. senators, Republican legislature, Republican cabinet, except for one person. I would understand it if Andrew had won and been governor. It would have made sense to me. State workers hadn't had a raise in how many years? One raise that's offset by health care? Why not put somebody in position that can reach out to the Republican leadership to help us with our issues? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
Next speaker is Joanna Marie Williams, and then Maisha Mitchell.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask for civil discourse, please. We might not all agree on different viewpoints, but in these chambers, we'll hear everyone's viewpoint. Thank you. I appreciate it. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Mayor Daley and City Commissioners of Tallahassee. Thank you for your work in this process. I want to come up to address some of the negative issues that the citizen before me spoke about. I do believe that Bruce Strobel is the person to address those issues in Tallahassee. His heart for city workers, his heart for the environment, his heart for the situations that actually cause high crime is what drew me even into engaging in local politics. And his support of the democratic process is what drew me into caring about what happens around me. And I've watched not only his influence on myself, but others, into caring about the city around them, into engaging not only politically, but communally in supporting the city, supporting their neighbors, and supporting the institutions and businesses around them. And I believe he's actually what this commission needs to continue that progress that we're making in addressing the underlying causes of those issues in Tallahassee. Thank you for your time.
Could you give your name and address, please?
Johanna Marie Williams, 2247 Shady Timber Circle.
Thank you. Maisha Mitchell is next, followed by Laura Joannis.
Good afternoon, and
Hi,
thank you all for this great process. It was something. Wow, you got a lot of good people here on the list, too. It's very hard to talk about just one, but I do want to mention one particular person because of the work that I've been doing with her in the community and her deeds, indeed. I've been working with the Good Food Movement now for a while in Tallahassee, and how the whole issue has been around food insecurity, making sure that people have decent, wholesome, good food to eat. In the past 4 years, we've been gleaning fruit from trees, bringing in fresh vegetables and nuts to families who need food. We've engaged young people in volunteerism. We've worked with them in providing stipends and support. We've also given them certain levels of skill sets to help them learn how to cook, to collaborate, and this is about diversity. This person has put in not only money, but time and resources. She's helped us to develop our Boy Scout troops in the Springfield community. She helps us bring fruit and fresh vegetables to the Veterans Associations. She's helped us with the recovery areas for families of Hurricane Michael. And with the work that she's done with the Tallahassee Food Movement, I can't tell you enough how we appreciate the young entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship focus that she brings to our young people. She's not only an environmentalist, but she's also a person who does citizen engagement. She has a business mind. She also encourages community-based organizations to be involved. And she represents many people across various communities. So I would certainly think the kinds of things you're looking for as a person who can deal with across lines of divisions, to deal with civic engagement, and also to deal with young entrepreneurship. I do recall one particular area that I'm very proud that I was a part of with her, and that was the Lemonade Day. Each year there's a national effort called Lemonade Day, and children throughout the country engaged that day in learning how to make money, become young entrepreneurs. Florida A&M University provides the initial training for it, and we were able to gather some young women who wanted to learn how to grow food, but also how to glean trees. And they gleaned lemons from all over this community. So I want to thank all the people in Tallahassee for making our Lemonade Day very successful. And thanks to Tabitha Frazier, this would have not happened had not been for her. So those young people built a lemonade stand, thanks to Bitter Block. They also provided the lemons. They squeezed them, they froze them in ice trays, and then they were ready for June when Lemonade Day came. And they made sizable money, enough that they can divide it among 10 people. They were very excited. So let's think about moving forward. Community engagement is very important, getting people involved in citizen activities, and thinking about our young people. People who do work and do good deeds in our community are what we're looking for. Thank you very much. It's Maisha Mitchell, 812 Goodbread Lane, Frenchtown.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Next speaker is Laura Joannis, followed by Jenny Blaylock.
Ms. Joannis, it's great to see you.
Hi, Mayor. It's good to see you and commissioners and city manager. I'm Laura Joannis. I live at 2427 Owl's Head Road here in Tallahassee. And my husband, Manny, and I are here in support of Will Messer. We've known Will for many, many years. He's a common sense businessman, and he would provide a good balance to the board. And we're just here tonight in support of him. So thank you very much.
Where's Manny? Where? Oh, there you are, Manny. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Jenny Blaylock, and then we'll hear from Catherine Lane.
Hey, Jenny, how are you?
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Good afternoon. I'm here today to speak in support of Sarah Lynn Grass's nomination for the City Commission, Seat 1. I met Sarah Lynn and her husband Gabe 12 years ago through our doctoral studies at FSU. Over those years, I've come to know Sarah Lynn very well, and here is what I know to be true. She is a person without pretense. She's straightforward, willing to speak hard truths, and she treats each person she interacts with, no matter what their station in society, with an open mind and respectful demeanor. She's willing to confront some of the darker aspects of life, poverty, abuse, that most of us try to avoid. Her expertise in early childhood education would be an asset to this commission because what happens to our youngest citizens in their earliest years will sow the seeds for what our community will reap in the decades to come. Sarah Lynn is an extremely hard worker, balancing doctoral studies, full-time employment, and family life. Through her involvement with Guardian Ad Litem, she and Gabe decided to adopt their teenage daughter from the foster care system. This life-changing act of selfless love and faith is a testament to the kind of people that Gabe and Sarah Lynn are. In addition to her own work as the executive director of the Association of Early Learning Coalition, Sarah Lynn is also a small business owner, co-founding Grasslands Brewing Company along with her husband Gabe. Through this process, she has learned about the risks, challenges, and rewards that come with business ownership. She's not afraid to shoot for the moon and try to achieve hard goals, but she's also grounded in the often hard realities of how challenging business and life can be. I can say with 100% certainty that Sarah Lynn applied for this position out of a desire to serve others in this community and not herself. I've had the pleasure of meeting and even working with several of the nominees here today, and I know each of them has skills and qualities that would serve this commission well. However, because I know Sarah Lynn Grass to be a person of such uncommon intelligence, integrity, and heart, I was compelled to support her today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I wish you all well during this process of discernment.
Blaylock, thank you. Your address for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jenny Blaylock, 3118 Middlebrook Circle, 32312.
Great, thank you. Happy New Year.
Next, Catherine Lane, and then Lakey Love.
Lane, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us.
My name is Catherine Lane. My address is 2001 Old St. Augustine Road. I'm a local attorney and a community activist with the Tallahassee chapter of the National Organization for Women and Equality Florida. I'm also a member of the LGBTQ community. Speaking for myself, as a member of that community, I urge you to select Tabitha Frazier. Ms. Frazier has been consistently supportive of LGBTQ equality. For my community, that is more important now than possibly ever before. Ms. Frazier's selection will let my community know that as far as Tallahassee is concerned, we can feel secure. Thank you.
Ms. Lane, thank you.
Next speaker is Lakey Love, followed by Jordan Scott.
Ms. Love, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Mayor Daley?
Great. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you all, Commissioners, Mayor Daley. And I honor you for taking this time out of your holiday schedule and to help keep Tallahassee a special city in which to live. My name is Lakey Love. I live at 1511 Melvin Street. I'm a proud Southside resident and feel blessed to have been born in Tallahassee, lived all over the world, and returned to Tallahassee to call Tallahassee home. I first met Tabitha Frazier 6 years ago, working on making Tallahassee and all of Florida safe for our immigrant community. Tabitha's work in this regard, as so much of her work, was a volunteer effort that included advocating to keep our city a welcoming city for all, including immigrants, asylees, and refugees. I also want to testify to Tabitha's long-term interaction with higher education institutions in Tallahassee, including interesting and interaction and supporting diverse programs at FSU, FAMU, and TCC that help Tallahassee grow and develop. As a PhD candidate at FSU, I believe in Tabitha's ability to work with the university system, its administration, and its students to expand Tallahassee's interaction with the great universities we have here and welcoming its undergraduate and graduate students to stay and make Tallahassee home. As a member of the LGBTQIA community and volunteer activist with Tallahassee National Organization for Women and with Equality Florida, I want to encourage you to vote for Tabitha Frazier to help bring and keep LGBTQIA equality in Tallahassee. The LGBTQIA community has been under vicious attack at the federal and state level, and we have very little civil rights protection. And now more than ever, we need people in our city commission that will help keep Tallahassee a safe and supportive community to our LGBTIA individuals and families. Finally, Tabitha has had an amazing work ethic, seen it in action for a long time. She has a very deep sense of morality that we've already heard other people testify to tonight. And this, I believe, will help heal the wounds and doubts that have been created by the recent scandals. She has been a longtime public servant, and as city commissioner, she would be able to help expand and continue the work that she is already doing at another level. I am certain that Tabitha Frazier will guard our economy, build and keep a strong environment, and expand our safety here in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Happy New Year.
Jordan Scott's the next speaker, followed by Matthew Isbell. Okay, so then the next speaker is Matthew Isbell. One second.
Mr. Isbell here. Is Matt here?
Mayor, I'll go to Cedric Wingate, and I'll go to Cedric Wingate, and then...
Here's Mr. Isbell.
There he is.
Hey, we were just waiting on you, Matt. That's all right. That's all right. Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Happy New Year, guys. Hi, Matthew Isbell, 2039 North Meridian Road, Apartment 171, zip code 32303. I'm here, of course, to support Tabitha Frazier, a woman I have known for over 8 years, somebody I have been close personal friends with, someone who I've worked with in issues with Tallahassee politics and Tallahassee policy. And I just want to express my support for her as somebody who I have known to stand strong in her convictions, for her belief in sustainability for this city, her work with Leon Trees as part of an effort to ensure that we remain a green city as well as a city that continues to grow and develop. And I especially wanted to come here to support her in light of the fact that over the last several days, and I'm not going to repeat them here, but she has been the only candidate subject to attack from different people in this community. People who have tried to distort her record, tried to make her seem like she isn't the dedicated public servant that she has been. And I ask you, commissioners here, to please remember that we do not kowtow to bullies and people who try to distort records and people who try to attack someone because she expresses the liberal democratic ideals that our city stands for. Our city is a proud democratic city. You all are proud Democrats. And Tabitha Frazier has worked with Republicans. She has supported people of NPA standing before. But on certain issues, certain policies, she gets passionate like we all do. And that is not a bad thing. That is a good thing. It is a good thing to have values and to express those values. And so I encourage you to just keep that in mind as you consider this, not to get scared or concerned by certain people who have their own agendas trying to torpedo only one of the 9 candidates that are actually being considered. Tabitha Frazier has been a long-time advocate for this city. She's raised her family here. She's done work here for no money. She has taken time out of her day, time out of her family life because she believes in these issues, which is a lot more that can be said for the last person that sat in this seat. And so I just hope you will consider that contrast and that change. She will be a great commissioner for Tallahassee, and she will be great for every single person in this city. Thank you.
Mr. Isbell, thank you. Happy New Year.
Next speaker is Cedric Wingate, followed by Ed Hollifield.
Mr. Wingate, it's good to see you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and everyone else. To be honest, I didn't write anything. I'm talking off my heart. I'm a retired colonel from the United States Army Infantry. Used to be a probation officer and a correction officer and police officer. I'm here to support Tabitha. When I got out of the military, very hardcore person, she was the one that took me to the side. And she said, "Are you a Republican? Because everything you show me, it shows me that you're a Republican." I said, "No, Tabitha, I'm a Democrat." But she taught me to love. She taught me to think. She just had me to get out of that box from being in the military and law enforcement all those years. Anytime I had something at my home, I invited Tabitha. Okay, she was there. I'm going to be for real in here. We all talk about diversity, but how many individuals actually hang out with someone that's different from them? Tabitha come to my house, broke bread with my family. I've been to Tabitha's house. My daughter was doing a project. She worked with my daughter in environment, and my daughter and I is at Wake Forest University. Not because of Tabitha, it's because of hard work. My daughter respects Tabitha. Well, let me tell you, my wife is very conservative, and she married me. And she respects Tabitha. I respect Tabitha. And I'm telling you right now, you can talk to Tabitha and say, "Hey, we know she's going to work for Tallahassee. But I retired on the south side, and I know she's going to work." And I told her the other day, "Tabitha, we need some stuff done on the south side." She did not ask me to come up here. I was the one looked in the paper, and I go, "Wow, that is the best candidate for this position, regardless Democrat, Republican, or Independent."
You're at 2.5 minutes.
Okay. I'm a rattler. She's not a rattler, and I support Tabitha.
Colonel Wingate. Colonel Wingate, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Next speaker is Ed Hollifield and then Lynn Jones. I believe we have about a half dozen speakers at this point, Mayor.
Great. Dr. Hollifield, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us.
Happy New Year to you. In the interest of civility and following the mandates of Curtis Richardson, I'll try to stay within 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Because Curtis thinks 3 minutes, about 2.5 minutes too long for me. But I think we need to get real here. Now, I've been complaining about all these dead black babies in Leon County, infant mortality for more than a decade. Guess what, Mr. Mayor? They're still dying. Infant mortality, black infant mortality in Leon County, 2 times, 3 times white infant mortality. Still happening. Census Tract 10.01. I've spoken about that too. Yeah. Diane, you know I'm telling the truth about this. I sent you the data. Since people like Rob Renzi has called me a liar. Census Tract 10.01, 80.1% childhood poverty. 80.1%. It has been. That's third world. We got third world childhood poverty right here in Leon County. That's right, Curtis. I won't go over 3 minutes, but you need to hear this. 80.1% childhood poverty. And then we got Will Messer. Y'all remember when Brian DeLoge, Republican Brian DeLoge and Will Messer ran that race? You probably remember that, Mr. Mayor. They spent $600,000 between them trying to kill that sales tax for health care. Think about that. You're going to kill a sales tax for health care. Last time I checked, Leon County had more than 47,000 people with no health insurance. Think about that. And then they talk about private property. My family owns a business, but I ain't ever asked no CRA for any money. What we're talking about is using public dollars for the benefit of rich people who already got the money. Now, that's not private enterprise.
You're at 2.5 minutes.
That's private welfare. Look at North American Properties. They got $5,300,000 from the CRA. You make rich people even richer. And that's obscene. And that's what we're dealing with here in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hellerfield.
The next speaker is Lynn Jones, and then we'll hear from Linda Bond Edwards.
Good evening.
Jones, good evening. It's good to see you.
Mayor Daley, Commissioners, it's good to be here to speak. And on behalf of Bruce Strobel.
Could you provide your name and address, please?
Lynn Jones, 3211 Notre Dame Street.
Thank you.
When I heard of this after Maddox was dismissed by our governor, I was concerned because as an educator, I believe in voting. And they said, we're not voting. I said, oh, okay. How do I explain this to my students? We're not going to vote. You know, I tell them we need to vote for everything, and that they had already identified. People just sent in information, 96 people, and no disrespect to you and your abilities to select someone. But I just feel that the process is not the process that we should be using for this particular moment. I know that in the charter that it said that the person who ran against Maddox would be automatically placed in that position. But of course, all due respect to the city attorney, it was stated that, no, that's not going to happen because we had to identify that Scott Maddox was having some difficulty during that particular time, which it wasn't identified and the information wasn't brought out at the magnitude that it is now. So I am really concerned about, as I said before, the process. I do support Bruce Strobel as our next city commissioner, and I hope we rethink when we make these decisions that we will consider the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Appreciate it.
Next is Linda Bond Edwards, and then Emma Arafat.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Linda Bond Edwards, and I reside at 4975 Kehoney Drive in Tallahassee. I am here to speak on behalf of a person who is a consensus builder, a community citizen, a listener, a small business owner, a great communicator, a great trainer, and just a great overall person, and that is Dr. Elaine W. Bryant. Dr. Bryant has given so much of her time to this community through service on many nonprofit boards. To name a few, Goodwill Industries, 211 Big Ben. She has been not only a member of the boards, she has been a leader on those boards. She has served as chair. I am an attorney here in Tallahassee. I'm a partner at a law firm. And one of the things that I do is represent public entities, public officials. And one of the things that I noticed that is such a significant attribute of the persons who serve the public is their love for others. And that is what Dr. Elaine W. Bryant is. Again, she's owned her own business, so she understands the business community. She is a member of Leadership Tallahassee, so she understands other businesses in the community as well. As you consider the candidates who are before you, and I congratulate you on the speed of the process by which you've gotten to this point, consider someone that will add to the many attributes that all of you share, that is able to listen to other members of the community, who is issue-driven, who is focused. And all of you have seen her application, so you know about her skills and talents. And I encourage you to pay particular attention when she comes before you this evening. And I believe that you will agree with me that she is the best person to sit on that rostrum with you. Thank you.
Edwards, thank you.
Next speaker is Ama Arafah, who will give you the correct pronunciation of her name, in case I did not. And she'll be followed by Margaret Franklin.
Good evening. My name is Ama Arafah, 168 Delta Way. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm here with my husband to proudly support Byron Green. I met Byron many years ago, over 10 years in church, if I can say that, and I have watched Byron relate to the less privileged around the church because we're surrounded by a large group of homeless communities and the young. Those are the two areas I'm going to focus on. And he works well with the youth. He encourages them. He believes in pulling the young ones up. From a personal standpoint, there are programs that he encouraged my son against my will. I did not want my son to leave home, and he kept pushing it, and my son did go, and it has changed his life forever. So far, he's 19, and he has not forgotten that program. I'm forever grateful to Byron. I see him relate to the homeless community around. He makes them feel at home. They come in and out of the church. They do not feel like they don't belong there, mainly because of Byron. He is a good human being, all around good human being. I urge you all to please consider him. He's a team player. You're not going to regret having him on the seat with you. He's just going to work well. He's a good human being. Please consider Byron Green. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
My address is 2168 Delta Way, if I forgot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Franklin, and then the next speaker will be Marvin Johnson.
Greetings, Mayor John Daly.
Good to see you.
And the rest of your commissioners. Very glad to be here today. I think I'm my son's #1 fan and always have been. When he's in the right, I'm there. When he's in the wrong, I slap him in the tail because I give him tough love, and that's what we have to do as parents. One of my most memorable days is when I went to Leon High School. He was in 10th grade, and Principal Margot Hall says that I could do a Leo club in Leon High School. She says, but Ms. Franklin, I can't let you do it unless we have a student that will be the president of it. She says, I said, well, do you have anybody? That's not a problem. She says, I have just the person for you. She says, let me look through my Rolodex. He said, I said, well, what is his name? Maybe I know him. She says, well, his name is Gallup Franklin. You need to meet his mother. That was the most great time. Can you imagine as a mother how you feel when somebody talks about your child to you? She said, his name is Gallup Franklin. You should meet his mother. By that time, Virgil Davidson, which was the president of the Leo Club at that time, he was under the table. He was laughing so hard because she didn't know I was his mother. I pulled out a picture. I said, is this the gentleman? She says, yes, that's him. I says, well, I have to admit to you, that is my son. That was the most wonderful feeling that a mother could ever have when somebody talks about your son to you, and it's positive. The second miserable time that I had with my son, when he called me 11 o'clock one night, says, Mom, it was in the Northeast section. He says, bring the truck. He says, I have 100 bags of community stuff to give away to people. I drove the truck out. We were jumping in and out the truck all night long, had 100 bags. He talked people into giving him 100 bags to give away for Thanksgiving. It was the most miserable time. His dad drove up and says, "Hey, you can go home and I'll help my son." I said, "You will not deny me of this." So most miserable, most wonderful times that I can remember, just the heartfelt of the community service from the heart. That's twice in my lifetime that I could really relate to grassroots of him working in the community, and I wasn't expecting to get those feelings. I would tell you, he'll always be my number one. I'm hoping he will be your number one. If he's not, your number one, I know that he does have a future in politics. I want to thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Franklin.
Ms. Franklin, could we get your address, please?
I'm Margaret Franklin, 1101 Missionwood Lane, Tallahassee, Florida, 32304.
Thank you very much. Marvin Johnson is the next speaker. And then Mayor Bill Shack will follow him, and that is the last card I have at this time. But there are
Marvin Johnson.
It's great to see you.
2509 Garnet Lane, Tallahassee, Florida. I will say thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to the commissioners. But thank you. It's the citizens that make this possible. That's what this is about. This is about how this body is going to select someone that is going to be able to work with this body and to be a part and help this body. That's what this is all about. This is ground zero. I'm here to support Gallup Franklin. Yes, I am. And I have known him all of his life. The decisions that this young man has made has been decisions that we could talk about a multitude of times that he has had to seek the wisdom of the elderly. And that's one thing that I can say about this young man. When he seeks wisdom, he's going to go to those to whom he respects, goes to those who are in need, and those who he feels that can then be able to bring home the bacon. Being a hog farmer's son, I can say that. The key part of this young man that I can tell you about is his honesty, his integrity. And that's something that you need. You need someone that you can trust. You need someone that is going to maintain that fiduciary responsibility to you. Now, there are a lot of people can tell you about politicians who have failed you, okay? And we can all fall off the wagon sometimes, but it's how you get up. City of Tallahassee, we're not looking too good right now. And I want you all to own up, and let's get past that, and let's elect someone or select someone that not only is youthful, that has the integrity, that has the stamina, that has the intellectual ability to be able to do what these people want. Not from a partisan standpoint, okay? Not from Democrat, Republican, or independent, but because they have need.
You're at 2.5 minutes.
Thank you on that point. And those needs are that there's crime out there. We have a city that is a kind of a one-horse town in electricity. And we need more revenue streams than to be able to take money from these folk and to be able to misuse those user fees. So if we can be able to develop more user streams, what that young man can do for you.
That's 3 minutes.
I think that he can be able to make you very happy and make you happy too.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you now.
Happy New Year.
Bill Scheck is our next speaker, and then John Mader.
Mr. Shack, it's good to see you.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
I ran for city commission. I had the crazy task of running in Tallahassee for a seat as a conservative, if you will. However, as someone who works at the homeless shelter, is a guardian ad litem, just became one, no one would put me in a box of a Republican. And my work with the special needs, running a charity for the intellectually disabled. I couldn't be put in that box, and I refused to be put in that box. However, on the campaign trail, I listened to all of you run and state that you wanted to turn the page on this commission and start a new day. And I think the way we do that is to eliminate any candidate who would possibly receive grants from the city, possibly be involved in anything, unethical or part of a committee that was part of our problems here in Tallahassee. I think it has to be someone, I still believe that, as I ran, unattached and not connected in any way to the city. And I would hope that you would do that. Someone just got up here and said, what type of city do we want to be? What type of city are we? And I know you guys have done your homework, and I know you've checked out social media. And there's some things said on social media that would make the most racist blush. And that's not the kind of city we are. So I hope that you guys will have done your homework and will choose the right person for the job. I don't know many of these folks, and I congratulate you all for being there. And I hope you make the decision to pick the right person for Tallahassee, the city we are, truly are, not the city that someone thinks we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scheck.
Next speaker is John Mader, followed by Tricia Brown.
Happy New Year.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much for this time. Happy New Year to each one of you, commissioners, mayor.
Could you provide your name and address, please?
It's John Mader, 2613 Catuit Lane, 32309. I heard some of the speakings and whatnot, and I think the points are excellent. We got a fine slate of potential appointments here. But I'm here as a citizen, a friend, and of Will Messer. He's a great friend of mine. He brings a diverse perspective. He could bring a diverse perspective to this city commission. He's a local business owner, so that is a unique set of skill set that he has. He respects the process. I know this in my daily dealings with Will. He understands the workflow. He understands the process very well, and he respects it. It's very important to not have any conflicts and just to go through the process, as we're doing in this case. And he's also very much tied to the community. He's got a steep history in this community. His grandfather opened the first Ford dealership in Tallahassee years and years ago. There's a park named after the Messer family. So there is a tremendous amount of history. He is tied to this community, cares deeply for the community, and rest assured he's going to do a fantastic job if he's appointed. So thanks very much, and again, Happy New Year, guys.
Mr. Matter, Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Next is Tricia Brown. The next speaker then will be Monet Moore.
Ms. Brown, it's good to see you.
Hi, how you doing? Tricia Brown, and my address is 603 North Martin Luther King Boulevard. The person I feel to be commissioner in this city must have had long-term commitment to it already. Must already have had their long-term as far as support of our youth, growth, through health and nutrition and development. Must already support our LGBTQ sisters and brothers in their civil rights. Someone that's consistently helping to protect our environment. Must be already involved in the support of our Black communities who desperately need our help and our attention. I've been watching this lady for a while now. I've been watching what she's been doing. And I don't stand up and speak for many people, but I believe that Tabitha Frazier is who we need in this community to help us to stay on track and to do better for our community. So with that being said, I hope that you all please give your support in having Tabitha Frazier as our next commissioner on that seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Next speaker is Monet Moore.
Ms. Moore, Happy New Year.
Hi, I'm Monet Moore. I reside at 2749 West Tharp Street, but tonight I'm here on behalf of the Providence Neighborhood Association. And if you're unaware of Providence, it sits on the southwest side of Tallahassee, near the intersection of Stuckey or FAMU Way and Lake Bradford. There's a few familiar faces that's already on commission. Thank you, Jeremy Matlow and Miss Diane Williams. But I would like to say tonight that I'm here in support of Dr. Bruce Strobel, and I say on behalf of myself and our neighborhood that he has always been a partner to our neighborhood, bringing programs to our neighborhood that not only uplift our community, but educate our community. And I think it's important that when you all select someone to join y'all, that y'all select someone who has been a lifelong servant. And I'm sure you all have read his resume, but it speaks for itself. He is dedicated to bettering our community, not just for those in certain areas, but for all around. He's for equitable growth, and that is something that we desperately need. So thank you tonight for listening to me. Thank you to listening to all of our constituents, and I hope you all have a happy new year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is James Matthews, and that is the last person for whom I have a card.
Matthews, good to see you, sir.
Mr. Mayor and members of the commission, I'm here this evening in support of Dr. Elaine Bryant. I know Dr. Bryant has the skills to be a member of the city commission because I knew her over 40 years ago when she was a student congressman at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And I've seen her work in this community over the last 40 years. She's of the highest integrity. She's a problem solver. She has vision, and she's an entrepreneur. I think the commission would be much stronger with Ms. Dr. Elaine Bryant. I think she will bring a skill that is much needed, and I think she's in the position to help this commission move Tallahassee forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would care to speak? Is there anyone else here that hasn't had a chance to speak that would be interested in speaking? Well, we'll go ahead and close the public comment section, and I want to thank each and every one of you for the level of civility that you brought to your public comments and the support that you've brought to the candidates. I know that y'all appreciate it as well. Before we move forward, I've got 4 individuals that I would like to recognize that are here with us today. We have former Mayor and Commissioner Dot Inman Johnson. Where's Dot? Where are you? Mayor. Debbie Lightsey, former Commissioner Lightsey. Great to see you. We have former County Commissioner Jim Cruz has joined us. And former County Commissioner Manny Joannis has joined us as well. We are done with the public comment section of the evening, so we are going to move now into the presentations on behalf of the commissioners. I'd like to ask somebody from the City of Tallahassee family if y'all could go ahead and provide some water pitchers and some glasses down front for the speakers. Well, we don't have anything down there. If somebody on staff could help me out, that'd be great. We are going to go in alphabetical order, and we're going to jump right in. Dr. Elaine Bryant, I'm going to invite you to come, please, do the first presentation. 3 to 5 minutes. And when you are done, Dr. Bryant, we'll open it up. And if any of my colleagues have any questions for you, we will go from there. But thank you once again. Dr. Bryant, when you are ready, the floor is yours.
Mayor Daley and fellow commissioners, I am so honored today to be among the 9 applicants that have been chosen as finalists for City Commission Seat 1. When asked the question, why would you want to be on the commission? My answer has been very simple. It's an opportunity for me to serve and to help to shape the future of our beloved city, Tallahassee, Florida. I've been fortunate to own a business for over 25 years and to serve on many boards, and in most cases, rise to the level of the chair in a leadership capacity. I say that, but that is not my focus for tonight. I'm sure you have reviewed my resume and are very familiar with the things that have been done in the past. But let me not focus on me and how we must create collaborative energy to move to the next level of greatness. There are 3 points I would like you to consider as you make your selection for one of us to serve with you as the governance team to set policy and goals for our city. All successful organizations and businesses have these 3 fundamental building blocks. They must have a mission statement, they must have a vision statement, and they must have values. Mission, by definition, tells us why we exist. Why do we exist? The city of Tallahassee has as its mission statement to provide excellent services and facilities to support a high quality of life for our community. That's our mission. Vision, though, tells us where we are going. It paints a picture of a future state of being. Our current vision statement says, Tallahassee, Florida, a city which remembers its past while focusing on the future, a vibrant capital city, fostering a strong sense of community, cherishing our beautiful natural environment, and ensuring economic opportunities for all of our citizens. There's a book that I recommend to each of you and to all leaders, if you've not read it, known as The Present, because it challenges its readers to be in the present, learn from the past, and plan for the future. We have many heroes and sheroes who have laid a foundation and should be celebrated for their accomplishments. But I seriously doubt any of them would want us to live in what was their present but has now become the past. We must learn from their contributions and become laser focused on our today and our future. We say we want a vibrant capital city, one that fosters a strong sense of community. And there are many evidences of major accomplishments that we enjoy today in the present that solidifies the vibrancy of our community. But the vision must embrace things we don't see today, but should be planning for in our future. In a My View article written by Commissioner Richardson that I happened to read just a few days ago, A Bond with Bond, it's a multi-year vision for revitalizing the greater Bond community. That plan speaks to our present, to our past, but it also must speak to our future. This year's priorities include public safety, economic development, infrastructure planning, and quality of life. In 2019, yes, we should still be planning for continuous improvement. We should look at and examine the use of renewable energy. We should visit other cities, such as Chattanooga, Tennessee, which has its own broadband, and determine if there's any applicability for our city. The last of the 3 building blocks, and by far of equal importance, are the values. Values are fundamental beliefs that should guide our behavior. For the city of Tallahassee, our customer service is our business. Just think of the responsiveness of our city during Hurricane Michael.
You're at 4.5 minutes.
Demonstrate leadership and personal responsibility, practice teamwork, and promote and support employee excellence. Let me close by saying our past accomplishments are many. Our challenges for today are being shaped by our vision for economic vitality for all of its citizens, branding that reflects a community that is interested in the well-being of its citizens, integrity that is unparalleled, housing for an aging population, and a responsiveness to millennials and Generation Z.
Thank you, Dr. Bryant. Certainly do appreciate it. We are at 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to open it up for any questions from my colleagues that are here. Are there any questions for Dr. Bryant? Yes.
My question is, what else did you have to say?
Well, I only had one sentence left.
There we go. Now, I told each one of you I'm going to hold you at 5 minutes strong. Okay.
Absolutely.
Dr. Bryant, would you answer the question, please?
Yes, yes, sir, I will. And I'm glad it's just one sentence. We are thankful for our past. We are immersed and engaged in our present, and we're excited about our future. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mr. Mallett. Dr. Bryant, excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next candidate will be Dr. Gallup Franklin II. Dr. Franklin, good to see you. Your time will begin when you are ready.
All right. First, I want to thank my friends and family for coming today. If you could please stand. Thank you so much for being here and supporting me. Also, I want to thank the commission for taking time for your family as well to be here in this important process. When I was a young boy, my parents were getting a divorce and were separated. At the time, my mom didn't have a job. And I remember going to my mother and asking, hey, Mom, well, how are we going to pay the bills? She said, well, son, God's got it. And she said, I'm going to do my part. I said, well, Mom, I'm going to do my part too. So as a young boy growing up in Tallahassee with a single parent and a mother without a job at that time, you would think the odds would have not been in my favor. But because of youth programs, parking and recreation, public safety, these essential municipal services is the reason why I can stand here today. So I remember at Truesdale Gymnastics Center, I learned there about discipline, how work ethic can yield prosperity. I worked so hard and became the second-ranked gymnast in the state and the third-ranked gymnast in the southern region right there at Truesdale Gymnastics Center. At Jay Gaither Golf Course, another parks and recreation gym, I learned how to swing the golf club by Coach Mungin. And every day they had a youth program where I could go and pay just $1 and walk from sunup to sundown to learn how to play the game of golf. And with that, that led to a golf scholarship to Florida A&M University. So I can stand proud in front of Tallahassee and say, Mama, we made it. I currently have a doctorate of pharmacy degree, and I'm gainfully employed. But I also have the experience to serve on this commission. I served on something called the Florida Board of Governors. We had an operating budget of over $9.6 billion. We impacted the quality of lives of over 400,000 people. I do have the experience, and today I'm just asking for a chance. I'm asking for a chance to ensure that no matter what side of town a little young boy, a little young girl might grow up on, no matter how many parents that young person might have in their household, that they still have access to the necessary resources to be successful just like I did. I'm just asking for a chance. I'm just asking for a chance to try to help us have better public safety, but not by just putting more cops on the street, but intervening in crime before it even becomes a thought or an idea in a little person's mind by investing and supporting early childhood education. I'm just asking for a chance. When I was a young boy, I remember my grandfather sitting right here started Soul Santa. And I remember being in his grocery store and watching him pick up toys from local businesses and community people around the community, giving those toys in Frenchtown to the less fortunate. I also remember him doing large-scale food drives for Thanksgiving and ensuring that regardless of what person might be dealing with at that day for Thanksgiving, they would have a full belly. At the time, I didn't really understand what was going on. I remember at his grocery store watching people come inside and not have any money, nor food stamps, but him still being willing to give them food so they can provide for their families. Now, see, my grandfather might not have paid for my college education. He definitely didn't help me buy my first home. But he instilled things in me such as transparency, accountability, being selfless and helpful to others that are in need. I watched him wake up every single day with commitment, conviction, and compassion to help those. And these things that I speak of, these very things, are the drum beats to the steps that I take every single day. And that's the type of city commissioner I'm being committed to be, serving the entire city of Tallahassee. Thank you. May God continue to bless this great city. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Franklin? Colleagues, do you have any questions for Dr. Franklin by chance? Any questions? I have one question. Would you like to take this opportunity to introduce your new fiancée, please?
Absolutely. So 2 weeks ago, I had the esteemed pleasure to travel to Israel, and I did a proposal there to this young lady, Chelsea Matthews. I've known her since 2006, and she's my newest fiancée as of 2 weeks now.
You better take her to a nice dinner tonight after all this, Dr. Franklin.
That's the plan, absolutely.
I see no other questions. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Certainly
thank you.
do appreciate it. Our next candidate to present is Ms. Tabitha Frazier. Ms. Frazier, thank you for joining us. And the time will start when you are ready.
Hello, commissioners and my fellow Tallahasseans. I'm Tabitha Frazier, an environmentalist, progressive idealist, happily married mother of 3, and someone who loves this community. I would be honored to be part of the decision-making process that moves our city forward in an exciting, friendly way. Tallahassee has a sense of place and an authenticity that makes us special. It's why so many people choose to stay here after going to college. If given the honor of being Tallahassee's next city commissioner, I will work to ensure that we are a community worth exploring and a place where diverse communities, the arts, and families all thrive. This is an exciting time to be living in Tallahassee, and there are many things that we are doing right. The City of Tallahassee Parks and Recreation Department is outstanding. Cascades Park is the gem of downtown. And with large events like Word of the South, the Florida Jazz and Blues Festival, and Shakespeare in the Park, I feel like we are starting on a path to one day be seen as a cultural mecca in the Southeast. I'm excited by the land use developments the city is encouraging downtown. By fostering areas that serve more than one function, we can attract more than one type of person and businesses to those parts of town. Railroad Square Art Park, the All Saints District, the Gain Street Corridor, all perfectly exemplify the dense and diverse areas of our city that make Tallahassee a fun place to live and explore. Current plans to connect dense areas of our city with wide pedestrian paths are another example of a step in the right direction. Being able to live and walk in Midtown, Levy Park, Myers Park, and Benton Hills have made these areas the most desirable places for families to live and hang out. But I'm also here today because there are areas in our community that are not thriving, and I believe there are some things that we can do better. I believe cities need density, diversity, and even a few funky neighborhoods to thrive. If chosen to be your next city commissioner, I would want to examine building codes and zoning regulations in the city, especially those that regulate the CRA. Instead of incrementally shaping the city in ways that are not authentic to our identity, I would like progressive codes to be adopted that enhance historic parts of our city by regulating new building forms and encouraging aesthetically balanced site placement as well as use. I would like codes that help preserve and enhance neighborhood character and help combat the commercial sprawl allowed on some of our neighborhood streets. Until recently, I served as a soil and water conservation supervisor. In that capacity, I applied for and received a $50,000 grant to start the Leon Fruit and Net Exchange. The exchange is an urban gleaning program that brings food forward to our neediest citizens, those with food insecurities. I have seen firsthand why Tallahassee is considered one of the most economically segregated cities in America and understand the insecurities that many in our community still face. Through my work, I have gotten to know leaders in underserved areas who are making progress and who are working and investing not only in time, but money to improve their neighborhoods. If I am fortunate enough to be appointed to the City Commission, I hope to work with these leaders to ensure that every child in Tallahassee feels that they have an opportunity to succeed and that our best and brightest choose to stay here. Children in our poorest neighborhoods grow up in the shadow of higher education. They look uphill every day from Frenchtown, from Springfield, from Providence, and from Bond. They look at FAMU and they look at FSU. And statistically, many of Tallahassee's inner city kids will likely never get to go there. This is something that we have to change. Economic segregation and income inequality are widening the opportunity gap here in Tallahassee, making it more difficult for our poor and low-income youth to access higher education and work their way out of poverty. We need to invest in communities that haven't received an equitable share and give our inner city neighborhoods, not just city business corridors, the attention they so rightfully deserve. I have 3 children. They get straight A's. It is my hope that after they leave for college that they will choose to return back to Tallahassee and raise my grandchildren right down the street from me. They're only going to do this if Tallahassee moves forward and in a modern, authentic way that attracts industries and businesses that are clean, hip, and high-paying. As a commissioner, I will foster initiatives that are ethical, honorable, and that sustain and encourage an urban environment where people want to live and work. A paramount aim of my tenure would be to work with my fellow city commissioners and staff to ensure that there is an even playing field to any and all individuals or companies who come before the CRA or bid on any of Tallahassee's services. I believe there is still much work to do to rebuild the trust and mission of the CRA. It would be my personal goal to continue to work to ameliorate the food insecurities that many people face in our community. I have several ideas that I would like to extend to the Summer Youth Work Program, and I believe would help build community, lower crime, and increase property values in both South City and Frenchtown.
You're at 4.5 minutes.
Time and again, Tallahassee has shown a unique ability to work together and rise above our obstacles. There is no doubt in my mind that we live in a great city, and we will move past the circumstances that have brought us all here today. As we go into this new year, we will take what we've learned and we will do better. Together with you, the Commission, and the citizens of Tallahassee, I will work to continue to keep our city a beautiful, progressive, and safe place to live. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Frazier? See none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will have a presentation by Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass. Dr. Grass, it's good to see you.
Hi, thanks so much for having me here. First, I just want to thank Commissioner Richardson for the nomination, and thank you all for allowing me to speak to you and talk to you about what's really important to me and my heart. I'm just humbled to be included in this process and with all of our great nominees, and I don't envy the process that you all are going through. That Gallup's one hell of a speaker, isn't he? Yeah. But I also want to encourage the Commission, in regards to that, to try to seize this opportunity to take advantage of the folks that applied for this position that did not get this opportunity. I think there's a lot of folks out there that have a lot of great ideas, and possibly through a Citizen Advisory Committee or doing some focus groups, we could find out some more information about what they would have had to give to us. And I'd be happy to assist with that in whatever way I can. A little bit more about me. In addition to being the Executive Director of the Association of Early Learning Coalitions, I'm also a wife, a mother, an advocate, and a small business owner. I love this city and all it has to offer, and my work in this community has prepared me to better understand what you do each and every day. Some of those things include my involvement with Keep Tallahassee Beautiful, the Village Square, Guardian Ad Litem, TMH Animal Therapy Program, and the School District Advisory Council. First and foremost, I'm not a stranger to the City Commission or the public sector. I've had the honor of being appointed to both the Tallahassee-Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, as well as the Minority and Women-Owned Small Business Commission, both by former Mayor Andrew Gillum. During my tenure in both of these roles, we commissioned studies to inform and ultimately inform the work of the City Commission. This was important to me for several reasons. One is that I truly believe in the importance of involving citizens in local government decision-making. My overarching goal is to help this commission positively impact the lives of Tallahassee residents well into the future of any term that I could possibly serve, and change the trajectory for the children of Tallahassee that are most in need so that we can see these eventual positive outcomes throughout our city. It is only through listening to the voices of others and those who are in need that we can effectively do this. Secondly is the importance of conducting research and collecting data that helps us to better understand the needs and issues surrounding each community within Tallahassee. For example, learning the needs of a single mother living in Killarn and contrasting those to a single mother living in Frenchtown is very important. Each require an equal amount of attention and understanding before making any decision that would affect both. My career is largely surrounded the well-being of children and their families, and as such, I'm largely invested in ensuring that they're afforded every possible opportunity to live and to thrive in a secure environment. Research that is becoming more prevalent is the ACEs study, or the Adverse Child Effects Study, which tells us that the more ACEs a child has, which could include incarceration of a family member, domestic violence, child abuse, the more significant social, health, and wellness problems they'll experience later in life. While some may think that these are personal issues, I believe that there is much the city can do to alleviate these problems. Oftentimes, a common thread amongst many of these issues is poverty. And when these issues occur in areas of high poverty, the long-term negative effects are exponential. Therefore, through assistance with employment, child care costs, housing vouchers, and mental health access and support, we could help to alleviate many of these potentially traumatic events. And while Tallahassee has made great strides in these arenas, there is more we could be doing. As been mentioned, I've also been a longtime volunteer with Guardian Ad Litem, and even with the exposure to the multitude of issues affecting the children in this region, and those who have been separated from their parents and siblings through no fault of their own, it wasn't until my husband and I decided to adopt a teenager that I was working with, one who scored a 9 out of 10 on the ACEs, that I truly began to have a better understanding of all the short and long-term effects of these experiences. Although it is not impossible, it is much more difficult for our daughter and children like her to overcome the past and feel secure to learn and to thrive. You're about to call my time, I know. Okay. Nevertheless, she will become a contributing member of this society, and all children and families deserve the same opportunity. I hope this is an issue that we can tackle together. The bottom line is that you have an amazing pool of highly qualified candidates who believe in this city, and I think an important question to ask is who would best work with you as a team to accomplish the goals that you've set forth. I can assure you that while I have my own opinions, I would come to this role with the goal of truly listening and understanding the needs of all residents and the desire to gather and analyze data to help better inform decisions. My objective is to work with all of you to make Tallahassee recognized not only as the state capital, but as a model for safe and thriving communities, an empowered and engaged citizenry, a hub for entrepreneurship, and a leader in environmental sustainability.
Thank you, Dr. Grass. Thank you very much. Colleagues, do we have any questions for Dr. Grass?
I have a question. I wanted to make sure you said all you needed to say.
Yes, I skipped a few things there, but I'm good. Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that I really welcome the opportunity, and thank you so much.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mr. Byron Green. Mr. Green, your time will begin when you are ready.
I am humbled and I'm honored to be before you today as a candidate for vacancy for seat 1 on the Tallahassee City Commission. I am Byron Green. I am a native of Tallahassee, born on February 5th, 1964, literally at 308 West Brevard Street. I was about 3 weeks early. My dad worked as a chef at night and went to school in the day, and there were no telephones, and I decided I wanted to come a little bit early. So that's the kind of person I am. I am currently married to Pamela Davis Green. We've been married for almost a year now, well, over a year. Sorry, dear. And we have a blended family with 2 wonderful kids. We have a son, Brooks, who is attending college at University of North Florida, and our daughter, Clark, who is attending University of South Florida. Both are hopefully going to graduate this spring. So why am I seeking this opportunity? I asked myself that more and more as the days went by. But the reality of it all is that I've entered this opportunity because I wish to serve Tallahassee. I believe that Tallahassee is indeed a world-class city in the making. We have been deemed an all-American city, but we still have work to do. But it would be a privilege for me to serve at this time, at this place where I believe we are in a transition period, where we are somewhat at an inflection point, I believe, in our city's 197-year history. And I believe that the people of Tallahassee, all people of Tallahassee matter, and that they deserve a commissioned body of leaders who will respect them, treat them fairly, treat them equitably, and listen to them. And I believe that's what this commission is all about. And so that's my inspiration for putting my hat in the ring. I also believe that the citizens of Tallahassee deserve to feel secure in their leadership. They should be engaged with their leadership. They should be hopeful in their leadership, and they should be valued by their leadership. So how can we come together as a team, as a body, to make this more of a reality? While I don't come to you with political background or governmental experience, I do come to you, however, as a person with a deep commitment to the Tallahassee community, who has faith in the people of Tallahassee. I have come to know many people in this room. I have come to know people from all strata or all areas on the socioeconomic strata in this town. I believe everyone has a voice. I believe everyone has valid opinions. I believe everyone deserves to be listened to. As I said, I was born literally on Brevard Street. I have family that lived in between Macomb and Old Bainbridge in the Goodbread area. I grew up also on the south side on Ridge Road. I know people from all over town. So I come to you as a person who has listened to the voices, who knows people all throughout our community, and I want to make a difference. In recent years, Tallahassee has experienced significant economic growth, prosperity, and I applaud that. I welcome it, and it's a great thing. However, my eyes always tend to go over to the folks that don't always get a chance to participate in that prosperity. And I want to serve to make sure that the prosperity seeps down into the greater fabric of Tallahassee. My overarching concerns are indeed economic segregation and the inequality, education. I would like to see us look to develop, outstanding relationships with our higher education and assets that we have here.
You're at 4.5 minutes.
Okay. Also, I do believe that we need to have a vibrant business community. It is the wheel that makes things go. And I think we also need to look at how do we reduce our dependence on looking at government as our primary and often only economic engine. So I believe we need to have a strong business community.
That's 5 minutes.
Mr. Green, can you finish your thought, please?
Okay. Lastly, or two things, environmental health. How do we grow responsibly in Tallahassee and make sure that we continue to maintain and sustain a viable environment? And lastly, community care. Are we serving our members of our city? Are we listening to people? Are we, instead of coming from a 35,000-foot perspective, I believe we need to get down to the grassroots and look at the quality of life on a disaggregative level from a point of view and really get to know what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I let him finish his thought knowing Commissioner Williams-Cox, you were going to ask him to finish his thought.
Thank you.
So I just thought I'd try to expedite a little bit.
Thank you, Mayor, for being good on the uptake.
Absolutely. It only took 4 for me to learn. That's all. My colleagues have any questions for Mr. Green? Great. Mr. Green, thank you very much. Certainly do appreciate it. Ms. Lila Jaber. Ms. Jaber, your time will begin when you are ready.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, I'm really humbled to be included in a dynamic group of individuals with one undeniable goal in mind: to make our community a great place to live and work and prosper. Thank you for your consideration and including me in that list. Erring on the side of brevity, I really want to focus on 3 things. First, my day one readiness will be apparent in my knowledge of process, substance, and policy. Including my time as their lawyer, I spent 14 years on the state's Public Service Commission, a collegial, 5-member, nonpartisan, statewide economic regulator over electric, natural gas, telecommunications, and water companies. During that time, I was also on the FCC's Universal Service Joint Task Force, charged with the responsibility of implementing policy recommendations to make sure that all Americans had access to telecommunications services. These professional and leadership experiences can only be a value add to our community as our city faces tough considerations and choices related to what our energy portfolio looks like going forward, what we do to ensure broadband access to all of Tallahassee, how we pay for those infrastructure needs, and frankly, how we play a part in lifting all of Tallahassee. Second, as a lawyer, my legal experience will complement the skills diversity you already have on this commission. Leading a state agency with quasi-judicial responsibilities, I am absolutely knowledgeable in the Florida Procedure Act, public records laws, and the Florida Sunshine laws. Government in the sunshine is not only what I understand, but it's what I teach. In that capacity, as a commissioner and ultimately the chairman of the PSC, I heard evidence. I created a customer meeting process and humbly requested all of my colleagues to tour around the state to make sure we heard the voices of every customer that was being impacted by higher rates or different rate structures, regardless if that case was going to hearing or not. And it was after that stakeholder process we made informed decisions, and I'm proud to say that during my tenure, all of our decisions were upheld by the court. Additionally, I was honored to be part of the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board. In fact, I was your first chair. It was in my tenure that we put the bylaws and the procedures in place to ensure accountability and transparency. It was always supposed to be a work in progress. I kept my commitment to stand up an ethics board for the community of Tallahassee. It was a one-year commitment I made to the mayor and to the commissioners. And commissioners, many of you know this personally, but I'm going to state it for the general Tallahassee community again. I only resigned at a year to be present for my sister's double mastectomy. Third, I understand firsthand the needs of small and minority business. As many of you know, my husband owns Cigars of Tally and Heels and Handbags. Together, we have invested in this community, practicing what we promote. We hire locally, we are civically engaged, and we try real hard to lead by example for our children and our community. Now, I had a written closing. I want to do a different closing. I want each of you to know more about me personally, and I want the community to know more about me. It's my belief that when we share our personal stories, we inform, we inspire, and we motivate. So let me tell you about Lila Jaber. I grew up in Sanford, Florida. I am the product of legal immigrants. My father had a 5th grade education. My mother wasn't allowed to go to school. I am Arab American Muslim. I have worked hard for everything I have. By every statistic, I shouldn't be with you. That's who I am. That's what the other category is. So for my brothers and sisters in the South Side, Frenchtown, my African American colleagues, for the LGBT community, let me tell you, you don't get to be me and not represent all people. That's what I do. So commissioners, I will close by simply acknowledging you are working, each of you working really hard to move Tallahassee forward. You have my commitment to work collaboratively with you to do the same. I applaud your efforts in this process. I thank you for the opportunity to be with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Jaber. Any questions for Ms. Jaber?
Would you like one more sentence?
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions, Commissioner? No, thank you, Ms. Jaber. Certainly do appreciate it. Our next candidate is Dr. Howard Kessler. Dr. Kessler, I want you to know that I did not recognize your years of service earlier because you are one of the candidates, but I do want to recognize your 12 years of service on the Wakulla County Commission as well. Your time will begin when you are ready.
Okay, we're good to go. I'm Howard Kessler. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll share some of my background with you. I earned a BS in chemistry, a master's in education. I took 3 years in the public school system. I became a doctor, then an orthopedic surgeon, board certified. I became chief of orthopedic surgery division at Sarasota Memorial for several years, and I retired to Wakulla County. There, as the mayor has mentioned, I served 12 years, 3 terms as county commissioner, 2 of those as chairman of the board. My achievements of the county commissioner include improving open government, passing strong wetlands ordinance, and a multi-county pedestrian bicycle path that I brought that idea to the city of Tallahassee and to the Leon County, which they grabbed it and we all ran with it, and now it's becoming a reality. I have been active in Leon County and have been volunteering as a physician in Tallahassee clinics for indigent and special needs youth for over 15 years now. And I serve on boards of several of nonprofit organizations in the city. But our citizens now lack trust in their government, and with good cause. This needs to be remedied. And my track record is clear. I have championed open, transparent government. I have fought against conflicts of interest. I have valued citizen and neighborhood opinions, and I have always worked to protect our environment. There has never been a hint of self-interest in any of my actions while I served as an elected official, and I will bring that to the commission if so appointed. Tallahassee has been ranked as one of the most economically segregated cities in the country. This is unacceptable. Economically disadvantaged youth do not have the luxury of taking an apprenticeship or an internship without money. They're working right now to support their families. The city needs to establish and fund a work-study apprenticeship program for young people who are not headed for college. Providing a wage while learning skills will enable this segment of our youth to enter the middle class. A portion of the $90 million Blueprints funds for economic development could be used for this program. The lack of opportunity for a significant segment of our population, I think, is a major factor in our high crime rate. How our city develops is one of the most important and fundamental issues our commission addresses. We need to focus on the comprehensive plan. We need to we have to follow its goals, follow its implementation. It's the foundation document on which all our regulations are based. Our present review process needs to notify more affected people and neighborhoods earlier so they can be part of the process. And we can solve these problems. I want the city to move to 100% renewable energy. It will take a balanced approach, continued commitment, and technology for that to be a reality. 50% of our property is off the tax rolls, and the profits from our utilities fund many of our services like parks, police, social service, and growth management. As we look to go renewable, we need to be sure our city can fund services in a way that does not increase utility rates and property taxes to a level that our middle and low-income residents cannot afford. It will not be easy to achieve, but it can be done. There are many things that are great about Tallahassee. Our parks, trails, beautiful neighborhoods, natural beauty are second to none. Our city employees, they're the best. They deliver services efficiently and in an exceptionally person-friendly way. Our community has a big and generous heart, and that's why many of us have chose to live here. Tallahassee citizens deserve only the best in local government. I have the credentials and a proven track record to add to the present board, and I'm ready, willing, and eager to go to work. And I'm asking for that privilege to be appointed to the Tallahassee City Commission so that I can join with you in moving to restore Tallahassee to a place of dignity that it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kessler. Colleagues, any questions for Dr. Kessler? Seeing none, thank you. Certainly do appreciate it. We will now hear from Mr. Will Messer. Mr. Messer, your time will begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. I'm humbled to be considered for the City Commission. I would like to quickly thank my wife, Stephanie, my mother and father-in-law, Kay and Mike Stevenson, two of my children, John and Emma, my brother and sister-in-law, Jim and Laurie Messer, and some of my friends here today for your support. I would also like to take a moment to congratulate the other candidates. I feel honored to be among all of you and know the commission will be well served no matter the outcome here today. For those of you that know me, you know that I've been active in this city for the last 25 years. I've served in many capacities and have even worked with some of you directly to accomplish great things for our community. For those of you that don't know me as well, in reviewing my resume, you will see that I am a strong advocate for business, as well as preserving the environmental amenities that make Tallahassee a special place. One question before you today is whether or not you believe diversity is important. Diversity is not just about the color of your skin or gender, both of which are very important, but it is also about diversity of thought. Commissioner Richardson, when it came time to nominate a candidate for the IA board, the Oversight Committee for the Blueprint Sales Tax, you made sure that the South Side had a voice, which I fully supported. At the same time, I made the argument that there should be representation for NEBA, the network of entrepreneurs and business advocates. We together demonstrated how we together ensured that all of Tallahassee had a voice, and we demonstrated how we can work together for the benefit of everyone. I'm proud to say that initiative will result in approximately $1.25 billion being put back into our community. So herein lies the challenge. And while I realize this position is nonpartisan, it is reported that approximately 30% of the voters in Tallahassee are Republican. Yet currently the City Commission is made up all of Democrats. This means that 1/3 of your constituency has no representation. You cannot imagine how many comments I've received telling me that simply because I'm a registered Republican, I don't have a shot, that there is no way the City Commission puts a Republican through, or that I maybe have a 15% chance. Not because I'm not qualified or that I don't have good ideas to offer, but because I am conservative. Again, the challenge you face today, Commissioners, and with all due respect, the obligation that you have today is not only choosing who you believe will do the best job, but also to ensure that all of Tallahassee is represented and has a voice at the table. I commit to you that I will work hard to be that voice and will work across the aisles for the benefit of all our citizens. Thank you again for this opportunity, and if appointed, I look forward to serving this great city of ours together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. Any questions from my colleagues for Mr. Messer?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Dr. Bruce Strobel, last but not least, we thank you for your patience. Time will begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Mayor Daley. Good afternoon, Commissioners and Mayor Daley. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I can only imagine how difficult this process is for you all. And I think someone said earlier, I don't envy that situation right now. But first, I would like to say that I was amazed by the number of qualified applicants who came out for this position. I think it's a testament to how much talent we produce and retain here in Tallahassee, and it speaks to the value in our community, what we actually are capable of producing. So I think we came with a really good group of people, and as you heard everyone speaking, they all had great ideas, and one of the benefits of going last is I could just summarize everything that they've said already, and then I would sound smart. But ultimately, when the Tallahassee Democrat recently released each finalist's answers to several questions that were presented to them, if you looked at all the answers and you heard everything everyone said today, everyone had pretty good ideas. We all had similar ideas on how we would address the community and how we would move things forward. So considering that, it was my opinion that each of us, with our answers, was qualified in our own right to serve as an interim commissioner. Like the other applicants, I'm highly qualified for the position. I understand policy and what our city needs to accomplish in order to be successful. I have made Tallahassee my home for nearly 2 decades. It is where I work and where I decided to raise my family. My academic career, in combination with my life experiences, has made me more than prepared to serve the people of Tallahassee as the next city commissioner in Seat 1. My work as the executive director of Citizens for a Sustainable Future, a local nonprofit organization that focuses on sustainability and environmental justice in Tallahassee communities, has been very fruitful. It's allowed me to get out in the communities, see what people need, see what people are asking for, and then try to find strategies to be responsive to this. I currently serve as the co-chair of the Tallahassee Community Healing Network, where for the past 7 years, I work with local community leaders in different neighborhoods, particularly in Bond as well as in the Providence community, to promote Tallahassee Community Healing Days, which is focused on improving mental health conditions and social and economic opportunity for Tallahassee citizens. As a board member of the Moving Forward Network, I've provided leadership and guidance for international coalitions of organizations looking to improve the global trade network through grassroots organizing. Through this organization, I participated in the development and implementation of national campaigns to improve freight transportation systems in the areas of environmental justice, public health, quality of life, and labor rights. I've sat in meetings with EPA administrators, senators, and their staff to influence policy that will benefit the citizens right here in Tallahassee, Florida. I also serve on the Leon County Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, where we work to provide strategic recommendations to encourage and facilitate affordable housing. This opportunity has allowed me to serve the citizens of Tallahassee to help provide one of their most basic needs, shelter. Aside from that, aside from the various forms of public service, I also am a regular Tallahassee citizen. I live here, I work here, my wife is here with me, I have 4 children, so I'm vested in the community. A success for Tallahassee is a success for my family, and that's very important to me. I hold that near and dear. So I'm very committed to seeing this city develop and be the successful all-American city that we know it is. I spend my days working to improve the lives of Tallahassee citizens. I teach history and political science at FAMU and at TCC, educating students about political process, historical and current. And I also coach basketball at the Lawrence Gregory Community Center. I have a pretty good team of kids, making sure they keep their grades up. And it's just very exciting to be out in the community in Frenchtown, at Jack McLean, seeing all the parents so excited to see their children be active, be healthy, and be committed to a team. And that's something that I stress with my players. Teamwork makes the dream work. Considering the questionnaire that did go out, one question I did not see was why, and to all of us, is why did you not run for seat 1 in 2016? This is something I believe you all should consider. We have a lot of people who are committed to the process, but in 2016, when seat 1 opened, there were not many people who filed to run against the former commissioner. So that's something I believe should be a factor as we consider who we're going to appoint as the next city commissioner.
4.5.
Thank you. As many of you know, I ran for this seat. I believe in bringing transparency, ethical approaches to governance, and protecting the democratic process here in Tallahassee, Florida. So I think the best choice for the next city commissioner would be myself. No disrespect to the other candidates. They're all very well qualified, but I think that this is just the best way for us to move forward. And I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Dr. Strobel, thank you. Thank you so much. Colleagues, any questions for Dr. Strobel? Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from 30 members of the public. We have heard from all 9 candidates. And will you please join me one more time thanking and congratulating all 9 candidates. For a job well done. My colleagues, we started with 93 applications. We created a short list of 9 that are sitting before us today. Unfortunately, as talented as this group is, we have to come to a decision on one individual. And trust me when I tell you that this is not easy at all, because we are friends with each and every one of you, and you are all very talented and can do a wonderful job up here with us. But the task before us is to select one. Let me remind the public how we are going to do this. I'm going to ask Commissioner Richardson, first and foremost, to put a name into nomination, which will then either receive a second or not receive a second. And then we will move to Commissioner Matlow, then Commissioner Williams-Cox, and then myself. After 4 names have been put in, or the opportunity for 4 names to be put in, we will enter into discussion, and we will go from there. So, Commissioner Richardson, will you please start us off? And would you like to place someone in nomination?
I would, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. And I don't want to be redundant, but I can tell you this has been an extraordinary process. This is a process that I have, in all of my service in elective office in this community, have never been faced with. Certainly as a commissioner, it's unfortunate the set of circumstances that has brought us here, but here we are. And I think we have a tremendous opportunity and responsibility based on what our charter spells out for us is the process we use for filling a vacancy on this commission, which has been done before in 2009. So this is not the first time. And if we don't do it, it becomes the governor's responsibility to do. And I think it's certainly incumbent upon us to make sure that this process is executed here at the local level where we know who our friends and neighbors are in this community. I first want to personally, as you have indicated, Mr. Mayor, thank all 93 applicants who put their names in contention for this seat. It, I think, took a lot for people to put their names before the public that way, because it opens you up for ridicule, criticism, which you probably wouldn't have expected. But I certainly thank all 93 of the candidates because it speaks volumes to the interest that the citizens in this community have for the city of Tallahassee, as each of us do, that have put our names before the public for election and re-election. I want to, again, congratulate all 9 of the finalists As has been mentioned, I don't think we could go wrong with either one of you. Unfortunately, we can only choose one. And unfortunately for me as well, I know each and every one of you in one way or the other and has for many years. And so it makes it extremely difficult as we get to this point of having to choose only one. But Mr. Mayor, I would at this point, and when we get into the discussion phase, I guess it will be at that point I will give my reasoning for the nomination. Okay. Then at this point, I would like to nominate Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass for the Seat 1 City Commission vacancy.
Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass's name has been placed in nomination. Is there a second to the nomination?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Richardson, properly seconded by Commissioner Matlow. Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass has been nominated. Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Matlow.
Well, thank everybody for coming out on New Year's. You got a few more hours till the new year rings in, so we appreciate you spending your holiday with us here. To address some of the concerns in the public comment section about the process here, we've been given, as Commissioner Richardson said, we've been given 20 days to make a decision. It might not be the best process, it might not be the best policy, but that's what we've been faced with. So if you're unhappy with the process after today, tomorrow is the day to start that conversation and come back out and change the policy for the future. To the candidates, I'm going to be a little more harsh. We need you guys to run for office. We need your names on a ballot. A lot of people here have said, and I do appreciate your willingness to serve, but I was given 93 names and I was thinking, I've never had a ballot this difficult to decide on. I've never had so many good options. And so it's incumbent upon you, I believe. And I believe as we've seen these processes in the past, I think we will see some of your names on the ballot, and I think you will be elected at that point. So a little bit about my process and keeping it open. I narrowed down my selection to some candidates that I thought were great, sent out a questionnaire to learn more about where they stood on the issues, which were frankly the issues that I spoke on my campaign that I think I got sent here for the people and for our neighborhoods to address. And then from there were still several good candidates. So that is the metric I put into place. If you put your name on the ballot, you've been vetted before the public, that meant a lot. I was able to go back and watch perspectives interviews of different candidates. I was able to go back and see their bandwagon thing. And, that's out there. And we need you to put yourself out there. So with that, I guess I'll advocate for this person on the next round as well, but I'd like to put into nomination Dr. Bruce Struble.
Dr. Bruce Struble's name has been put into nomination. Is there a second to the nomination?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Matlow, properly seconded by Commissioner Williams-Cox. Dr. Bruce Struble, you have been placed in nomination. Commissioner Williams-Cox.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come and be a part of your government. And along with what Commissioner Matlow said, this is our process. To do a special election at this time would be very expensive. And wanting to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money and wanting to make decisions to keep everything local because we love home rule, right? This is the process. And congratulations to all 93 individuals who put their names in the hat. You are to be applauded. And I encourage every one of you that I spoke with, I tried to meet with everyone who asked for a meeting. I encourage you to run for office. I encourage you to, if you are not selected tonight, to continue to work in the community. You do not have to be elected to be effective. So continue to work. I look forward to seeing you working in the community, not just running for a seat, but running for the people. And with having said that, congratulations to the 9. I'm not a mathematician, but out of 93, 9 was pulled out, so that's about 10%. I think that's easy math. And my selection process was similar to what our city manager did. He prayed at the beginning of this, right? So that's what I did. And prayerfully, I am happy to nominate Dr. Elaine W. Bright as a potential for our City Commission seat.
Dr. Elaine Bryant's name has been placed into nomination, and as the mayor and chair, I will second that nomination. Dr. Elaine Bryant, you have been placed in nomination as well. And finally, it is my turn, not to belabor the point because I have talked. This has been one of the most difficult decisions that I have made amongst the 9 of you, but I would like to place in general, and we'll have the conversation as well, Dr. Gallup Franklin into nomination for discussion as well.
Second.
It has been motioned for Dr. Franklin by myself, the mayor, and seconded by Commissioner Matlow. Okay, at this point, let's open it up for discussion. We have Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass, Dr. Bruce Strobel, Dr. Elaine Bryant, and Dr. Gallup Franklin. All have been nominated to serve in seat 1. And I am looking for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Richardson?
As I mentioned, I nominated Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass. And, you know, it was interesting that Dr. Grass put her name in for consideration because I guess it was about 3 years ago, she and I served as co-host on the WFSU Fund Drive and didn't know each other. They just matched us up. For whatever reason, they matched us up. And so we had an opportunity to talk during that 3 hours that we were on the air and got to know each other quite well. And she mentioned to me then that at some point she might be interested in serving in public office here in the city of Tallahassee. And so I've watched her then since that time. She and her husband developed a very successful business that has contributed to the development of the Gaines Street area. And so she brings that kind of business acumen to the table. And I think that's important because as we, in a couple of years, start to develop projects that were funded, from the sales tax extension, we're going to need that kind of experience on this commission. I know that Commissioner Matlow is a small business person himself, but I think that that kind of business acumen would certainly contribute to where we are as a commission, the makeup of the commission currently, and the kind of expertise that we could draw from going forward. I think that, of course, Dr. Grass would have a grasp of the challenges that face businesses in our community and what we need to consider to make those businesses more successful as we go forward. How do we expand our economic base in Tallahassee so that we can hire those young people who are graduating from our colleges and universities and make them want to remain in Tallahassee and to fill those jobs that will allow them to pay back that student debt or to support themselves and a family. And so I think that she brings that kind of acumen to the table. You all heard her. I was very impressed with her academic background, which I didn't know a whole lot about before I read her resume. And let me tell you, I agonized over all 93 of those resumes and cover letters. I went through every single one, some 2 and 3 times before reaching my decision. Even on my vacation, I couldn't rest on a cruise thinking about what we had to do because I have taken this so seriously over these past several days and weeks. But I think that it is clear that Dr. Grass has a very strong academic background in the area of early childhood education. In addition to her background, she has a social conscience. You've heard the kinds of boards and organizations that she's been involved with and went so far as to adopt a special needs kid as a result of her involvement with the Guardian Ad Litem program, which speaks volumes to her and the kind of care that she shows for, would show for the children in this community. She's civically engaged. She's involved in a number of organizations across the community, and I think would bring that to bear on this commission. And then lastly, Mr. Mayor and my fellow commissioners, I think that, one of the things that we have stressed is this whole notion of combating crime in our community. And let me applaud our Chief DeLeo and his staff at the Tallahassee Police Department, our law enforcement agencies, because we have seen a drastic reduction in crime in our community. Yeah, you need to clap that one up. And that's what, but it continues to be one of the things that we will stay laser focused on, because one of our top priorities is to ensure that our neighborhoods, that our businesses are safe and secure, because beyond that, as the old commercial about the Lung Association, where they had the fish outside of the fish tank, when you can't breathe, nothing else matters. When you're not safe, nothing else matters. And so, again, I want to, but my point being that one of the most successful tools at addressing crime in the community is this whole notion of early childhood education and being involved in children's lives at an early age, almost from conception, if you will, but certainly from birth. Being involved with those families and those children to give them the opportunities to learn and be successful even at that early age. And Mayor, I know that you have talked about this relationship with the school district and the county, and all of us working together, getting out of our silos to address the issues that impact our community. I can't imagine an issue that would have much greater long-term impact on addressing the economic segregation that has been talked about here today, poverty, poor educational opportunities, preparation for the workforce and college and careers, than being involved with those young people at that early age and their families. And I think that that's where Dr. Grass's background and experience could be invaluable as we go forward in forming those relationships with our sister governments and also with those organizations that we fund in the community through our Community Human Service Partnership Program that address those very serious issues. And so for those reasons, I would nominate Dr. Grass to fill the seat on the City Commission.
Thank you. Any other commissioners for comment? Are you good? I'm going to jump in and I'm going to speak to actually two nominees, because there are two individuals that have been placed in nomination that I support. And unfortunately for Gallup, as I have mentioned to every single one of you when I met with you today, my nominee will be the last. So there will be other votes that will take place. And as I made it very clear amongst all of you, there are several of you that I do support. Dr. Elaine Bryant brings a very specific skill set to the table. Strategic planning is something that I have been very interested in, being able to move forward. And this is your professional experience. This is your knowledge. While you have done work in the past with the City of Tallahassee, and you are not doing work or have done work in the past couple of years with the City of Tallahassee, you are very well versed on all of our departments, the leadership structure of the city, and at this point in the health of the city government and being able to work with the four of us, I find that very intriguing, along with the personal relationship that I have with you. And I think you would be a wonderful addition to this commission. Dr. Gallup Franklin, I was your Boy State Counselor when you were a junior in high school. You have been nothing but an absolutely incredible individual with the highest ethical standards of anyone that I could possibly know. And I have had the pleasure of following your career through gymnastics, through golf, following your career through Scouts, and the impact that you have had on this community. The fact that you are a pharmacist, and the only candidate that is a pharmacist that brings a completely different approach to how we look at issues, and your work-life experience completely different from any and all of us, I think adds value to the conversation. I am impressed with your work ethic. At your age, you have a PharmD. You are Dr. Gallup Franklin. You have managed a large staff in the Publix supermarket chain. You have managed a large staff at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital as one of the leading pharmacists for that organization, and you are an adjunct professor at Florida A&M University in pharmacy. I think you as well would make a fantastic addition to this board. Now, let me be very clear, because the 4 nominees that are up here, this is going to be very difficult, and I'm going to, at liberty, speak. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and ask, any other comments between the Commissioner Williams-Cox? You want to jump in?
Well, yes, I wanted to thank you for speaking kindly in regards to Dr. Elaine Bryant. I, too, have had an opportunity to work with Dr. Bryant. I've also had an opportunity to experience what she does in the community. And when you look at her resume, it is impeccable. It has a cross-sector section of organizations, individuals, large, small, medium, and to have been in business for 25 years, small business for 25 years, that's not easy. To be in business 25 minutes, but to do it for 25 years and to do it with such stellar excellence. When you Google her name, there's no scandal associated with it. There's no negative associated with it. She is a member in good standing on many boards. And as we reach out across our community to be able to work together to bring everything, try to bring things, make the playing field level, we will need someone who can interact and exchange ideas and information within these different organizations. So I like the fact that she brings that to the table, and I know that she is an outstanding individual. We're members of different sororities, and those of you in the audience will know that, but I think that I will have permission to go outside of the sorority It's
not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's a sorority thing,
a sorority
right? Okay, just making sure.
Right, to go outside for that. And I will also say, Dr. Bruce Strobel, we have worked together in the community. We ran together, when you ran for office, and I've followed you. I've found you to be one of my environmentalist advisors. I have a group of environmentalists, including Dr. Howard Kessler, and former Commissioner Debbie Lightsey. When I need environmental issues addressed, I call on you guys. I'm a student. Thank you for responding. And Dr. Strobel is the father of 4 sons. I'm the mother of 3 sons. It takes fortitude to do that kind of work. It really, and to have another life. And for him too, I saw where you pursued your PhD and obtained it, and all the other things that you're doing in the community. Those things are commendable because many of them are being done without pay. So I wanted to just speak to those 2 that I supported.
Commissioner Matlow, and then Commissioner Richardson, did you want to weigh back in?
Yeah, because I didn't know we were speaking on all of the...
I didn't know either, but here we go.
That was new to me.
Okay.
So
I thought I was just speaking on the
Commissioner
one.
Matlow, then we'll come back to you, Commissioner Richardson. Absolutely.
So yeah, I've described this process. I've done thousands of interviews in my career, and this is kind of like hiring somebody that you're not going to be able to fire afterwards. So the pressure on this decision, I think, is very, very extreme. So I ran a campaign on change. We saw traditional power structures in town getting people that let us down. That's why we're here today. For too long, we've seen people want to dominate the conversation from afar, behind the scenes. And frankly, I've been advocated from all kinds of angles, from all kinds of traditional power brokers for who should get this nomination. And what stuck out to me about Dr. Bruce Strobel is he ran the same campaign I did. He just ran it 2 years earlier. And when people were deciding whether to stay in that race, whether when Commissioner Maddox got back in, whether they were going to wait their turn, and he decided, no, I'm not going to wait my turn. I'm here because I want to do the right thing for my community. I want to represent the values of the people who've put their faith in me. And that meant a lot to me. And so when I was looking at his application and I went back and watched his perspectives interviews with Tom Flanagan back there in the corner, I was like, this guy really gets it. He really understands the issues that I see face our community, and I think we're in sync. And, there's been a lot of talk about how our community is represented, if it's 30% this, 20% this. And, frankly, I don't think our community has been represented. Everyday people, everyday working people. Like, that's a voice that's larger than 30% that largely goes ignored. And he's not just a community organizer. He's got a background in public policy. I guess you have to have a doctorate to be on this final list, it seems. But, he's started a nonprofit, the Citizens for a Sustainable Future, which I think is a issue that's dear to our community. And he's on the Leon County Affordable Housing Committee. I mean, he showed his dedication to this community, and that's why I'm eager to back him as my candidate of choice. I will say Dr. Grass is my neighbor. She's done a lot of great work. When they adopted their daughter, not a young daughter, a daughter at 16, a youth that really needed a chance and someone to take a chance on them. Her family stepped up and did it. And, that's not a professional qualification, but I think it really speaks to her character, and I appreciate her being here today as well.
Okay, Commissioner Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like I said, I didn't know we were speaking on all the candidates we support, absolutely. But I'm glad to have that opportunity because I, too, would want to, if Dr. Grass, for some reason, was not selected, and I still strongly support her because I think she would be excellent for that position. But I would also support Dr. Elaine Bryant. I have known Dr. Bryant. We were school psychologists together. That's been over 30 years ago. We had a very special friend that we shared a friendship with, and Elaine knows who I'm talking about, who passed away. And so we have known each other for a long time. I've seen her work in the community. I think that Elaine is one that transcends the community. Dr. Bryant, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Is one who transcends the community. She has not been pigeonholed into one or the other segment of the community, and I think if selected for this position, would work for the betterment of every citizen of the city of Tallahassee without reservation. And so that would be my choice as well, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Any other? Now's the time. Any other comments?
I just want to say to Gallup, Dr. Franklin, outstanding young man. I had tears in my eyes because for a few years, I too was a single mother. And you and your mom remind me of me and my son, and we have this little code between the two of us. And there's a special bond, and I know this. And I am looking forward to your next, and I would like to be a part of your next. If this doesn't pan out, I want to continue to support you and what you do next because you are outstanding, not just today. For those who just met him today, this is what you get every time you meet Dr. Gallup Franklin. This is what you get.
Commissioner Madeline.
Dr. Franklin, when you're pounding your fist, you had me going. I'm like, man, this guy's going to be a star. So we appreciate you being here. And, when I say we expect to see some of you on the ballot, no doubt whether it's today or in the future, I think we'll see you there.
Any other comments? Okay, I'm going to get very personal. Sarah Lynn, Bruce, Elaine, and Gallup. Florida law does not give me very much wiggle room when it comes to the actual language that I have to use to take a vote. You need to know that a vote in favor or a vote against is nothing personal. It's just there's specific language that I have to use in order to take a vote, okay? So we are going to move forward, and the first vote that will take place will be on the nomination that was made by Commissioner Richardson for Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass. All those in favor of Dr. Grass filling the seat 1 vacancy, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those oppose, aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is a 2-2, which requires us to move now to Commissioner Matlow's nomination for Dr. Bruce Strobel. It has been properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is a 2-2 tie, which we now go to Dr. Elaine Bryant, that was nominated by Commissioner Williams-Cox and properly seconded. All those in favor of Dr. Elaine Bryant signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying aye.
I'd like to make it a unanimous vote to support.
There is a
Dr.
motion on the table for unanimous support for Dr. Elaine Bryant. For Dr. Elaine Bryant to serve the remaining term of the vacancy for seat 1, properly moved by Commissioner Williams-Cox, seconded by Commissioner Matlow, if that's appropriate. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been very patient. We are going to take a 5-minute recess. At the end of the recess, Dr. Bryant, we are going to swear you in as the next commissioner. We're still in the recess.
They can't hear you out there. Now they can.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please take your seats. Thank you. I'm going to ask the City Attorney, Cassandra Jackson, to please come join Dr. Elaine Bryant. And Dr. Bryant, will you take a second and introduce your family that is here with you?
This is my husband, Eli Bryant, from Ricketts High School. And I have my Tallahassee family here with me. I'm really from Ocala, Florida, but I've been here so long. Here's my family. Would y'all come and stand with me, please?
Dr. Bryant, will you move around to the microphone so everybody on TV can see you and hear you?
Well, it is certainly my esteemed pleasure to be able to swear in Ms. Elaine Bryant to fill seat 1 on the City Commission. I certainly also have known Ms. Bryant for many years and do appreciate her work and service to the community. If you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Elaine Bryant,
do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States, the state of Florida, and the city of Tallahassee, that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state of Florida, and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of the office of City Commissioner on which I am about to enter, so help me God. Congratulations.
Dr. Bryant, I'm going to ask you to come take your seat at the dais, please. All right, now, Commissioner Matlow, if we time this just right, in 7 minutes, if we adjourn and walk outside, there'll be fireworks. Now, how cool would that be? That would be pretty cool right there.
Yeah, all the timing is everything.
Dr. Elaine Bryant, welcome to the City Commission.
Thank you.
And we'd love to give you the opportunity for a few remarks. Dr. Bryant, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an esteemed honor for me to have been selected to serve as a city commissioner. I am indebted to many, for my career has spanned in this city over many years, starting my education at Florida A&M University. I am indebted to those on this commission who actually took time to hear me talk, and you can tell I love to talk, and to allow me to share my opinion and allowed me to share with them my vision for where we can go as a city. We're in a place now where we can do nothing but move forward. We're looking forward to doing that. Let me thank Diane Williams-Cox for the nomination. She mentioned about being in different sororities, and since I'm getting the last word, thank you, Diane. And to our mayor, and to Mr. Matlow, and of course to this commissioner sitting right here by me, who actually, he asked me today, did you get that text I sent you? Yeah, because and he said, I told him, yes, I got it. So I'm grateful and thankful. My pastor is not here. He had to leave early. Of course, this is a watch night, meeting night in the missionary church. So he had to leave, but a lot of where I am today is because of biblical principles that have brought me to where I am right now. And I owe a lot to Pastor R.B. Holmes Jr., And I want to say that publicly for his support and for his leadership in this community. So I'm looking forward to what's yet to come. The only thing I can say to you tonight is that the best is yet to come. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more item of business before us, and that is the selection of the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a motion on the table for the Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Williams-Cox?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I move that Commissioner Curtis Richardson did such a great job as Mayor Pro Tem previously. He did, you know, when you do a good job, you get to do it twice. So
that's what I'm hoping for.
So it is my pleasure to nominate Commissioner Curtis Richardson to be Mayor Pro Tem.
Commissioner Richardson, are you willing to serve a consecutive term as Mayor Pro Tem?
I am, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It is a unanimous second as well. All those in favor of Commissioner Curtis Richardson serving the next year as Mayor Pro Tem signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, congratulations. Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. Certainly do appreciate it. We have a quick time. We're going to go around any sharing of ideas. I only have to say Happy New Year.
Yes.
And I am excited about heading into 2019 with this commission. And we're going to do some amazing things with Dr. Bryant joining us up here. And it is an absolute honor and privilege to serve with each and every one of you. I got to tell you, that was not a fun process to go through, but I am proud to work with each and every one of you. And we had a flawless process, a transparent process, and thank you. It is a pleasure to serve with you. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll go to you next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to say Happy New Year to all of you that are here, all of you that might be watching on television, and to this great city that we live in. As Commissioner Bryant mentioned, the best is yet to come in the city of Tallahassee. I am certainly having labored under unflattering headlines for the last 2 years as a new commissioner myself. Am ready to move forward and look forward to working with those who have joined us on this dais now to move this city forward and let it be the light on the hill that Tallahassee is destined to be, that other cities emulate. Commissioner Bryant talked about going to Chattanooga. Well, we want other cities to come to Tallahassee to see what we're doing here that they can take back and emulate in their cities. And so that's what I look forward to on this new commission, the new energy that we have, the new vision, and as we move forward, being a part of the leadership team that works with this new commission to bring my limited experience to bear. Mr. Mayor, having only been here 4 years myself, but I'm looking forward to working with the city manager. He's a dynamic individual. He's assembled a staff, a leadership team and staff second to none. This city is working right, and it's working right for its citizens. And we just need to make sure we get that word out to the community under the leadership of our city manager, Reese Gold. And certainly I want to personally thank each of our appointed officials for the work that they do, the stellar work that they do on behalf of this commission and the city of Tallahassee. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Matlow.
There's 1 minute until fireworks, so I'll let the next person go.
Commissioner Williams-Cox.
Happy New Year's, and we will return to our regularly scheduled program as soon as we leave here. Happy New Year. See you in 2019.
Commissioner Bryant, any comments, and welcome once again.
Happy New Year.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be on January 16th. It's our annual retreat. It will take place at the Smith-Williams Service Center at 2295 Pasco Street. If you need any information, do not hesitate to contact us. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand adjourned.